And we are live and in colour. I'm just going to have to make a quick adjustment to the Discord here because we are missing a player, which really sucks.
I was going to say, all of a sudden, I've become a dragon.
Oh, actually, yep. I got
I didn't even know.
yeah. So this is the good thing about the way I've set this up. Pretty easy to adjust here. And then that one we can go blink and he disappears.
Whoop.
So we've got the Discord overlay sorted. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to the players joining us again tonight. We have our. We are missing one. We are missing one, unfortunately. It looks like Gillian has not shown up. He may still turn up. We're not 100% sure. I haven't heard from him to say that he's not coming. So I'd say he's probably just fallen asleep. It is like stupid o'clock in the morning for him in the US, so we can forgive him on occasion for that.
Commander reroll.
However, we are rocking into episode 5 of Paradym Bold. So, and we've got some new emotes for you guys too. As Nutty's just popped up there, we've got D20 emote.
And I'm going to be rolling those all.
And I've also got another scary emote for later on. For I don't know if you guys in the chat be able to see it.
Ooh.
Little beholder there as well.
Does thou have a natural one emote?
No, I don't. I probably will get one though.
Because I think Nutty might be rolling more of those.
It's
Hey.
quite possible.
Hey,
I hear he has had some fun with critical failure die.
Oh yes, Het has introduced a critical failure table in the game that we play in, and I thought it was really I thought it was cool. It was a really cool system, and it worked really well last night. Had a great game last night.
I got the feeling like it was mixed feelings with my players.
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was awesome. I thought Candy played it really well though. Like he played the depressed player quite well. So.
Oh yeah, he was pretty good. I felt like, oh no, he's packed a sad through the game, but then between character, he was actually real ordinary again. So it's like, oh no, it's cool. He's just acting it up.
So that was pretty good. So last night's game was a huge success. Obviously, for those that I told last week, unfortunately, my poor rogue is deceased. So I had to. I didn't exactly re-roll a character. It was a character I'd originally started that campaign with, and reintroduced him last night. And things went relatively well, so that was good. Be interesting things coming for that character in the future, I see. So that'll be awesome. So without further ado, we will get into things. So recap from episode 4. Last episode, we found our group on the second trial to retrieve Orcrillium from the abandoned mine, which had been taken over by some orcs and a few goblins and some kobold slaves. After dispatching most of your foes, you were forced a lone kobold survivor to lead you to the Orcrillium which you needed to complete your trial. What you did took a bit extra for your own needs. You decided not to kill this kobold, which Het decided to name Whole Life, because he'd been a slave his whole life. You returned to the mining town and returned Gimby's pick. You then, as agreed, let Whole Life go, who swiftly disappeared into the forest. Upon returning to base camp, Aslan, who, on concluding some personal business, rejoined the group, Het proceeded to play a prank on the newest member of the group, which is Gillian, who's not actually here tonight, which led to an altercation between Aslan and Gillian, which the team soon diffused with a bit of a confession from Het, confessing that he wasn't one the fact that was playing the pranks on Gillian's pipe. You then travelled back to Voland and handed in your contract. You received your payment, accepted your next contract, and proceeded to your favourite tavern. Meals and drinks were had. Another supply of Bardic Fury from Het. You then headed to your rooms. Damaris had strange dreams throughout the night. Aslan once again slept near the fireplace while listening to the soft flute music provided by Nelisse, the half-elven bard. This is where we rejoin our adventurers and start episode 5 of Paradym Bold. Get some music running. So yes, we find our adventurers in the morning, awakening at the Squirrel and Hydra. You've got your contract. You know what your third trial is. You now, up to you, make your plans to travel to the realm of Riley, which is the neighbouring county, if you will, of Paradym, which is next to the Howling Mountains. Aslan, you would know this area well. Well, some of this area, not the whole area. You know most of the area. You have been contracted to travel to Riley to an abandoned keep just north of the Weirwood Forest to find and dispatch a dragonling of unknown colour, possibly black or blue, you've been told. So it's now up to you and how you wish to proceed.
Well, first of all, I'd like to go downstairs and get some breakfast, if that's all right, guys.
Yes,
I expect I'm already down there eating anyway, so.
Yes, well, Aslan's already you've woken up in front of the fireplace. Bit of a crick in the neck, you've been sleeping in a chair, but it's nothing you're not used to, so it doesn't really bother you too much. It's still, the fire's not out, but it's not roaring either, so it's still a bit of ember there, and it's still reasonably warm. Iraf is sort of wandering around the place. He's setting up a few tables, and he gives you a bit of a nod and a wave as he just carries on about his business, just getting ready for the day. And
I'm not back.
So yeah, up to you guys now. You guys, Alessandros and Neymaris sharing a room. Het, you were by yourself last night, as Aslan was not. Gilliam would have slept with you, not with you.
Correct.
But in the same room.
Gillian and I use the same room.
Yes.
Het emerges. He's an early riser. He emerges pretty much, I guess, the same time as Neymaris. They would meet in the corridor, and he always says, "Good morning," in quite a chuffed way.
Good morning. How you doing? Did you have a good night's sleep?
Het usually always sleeps very well. How about yourself?
I had some bloody weird dream again, I tell you.
Yes, you seem to have a lot of those.
Yes, Neymaris looks visible. She looks not tired, but you can definitely tell she's not had a really restful evening. Few slight bags under the eyes, but she looks a lot more restless than usual. And Neymaris, if you could hold the button on your microphone just a little bit longer when you finish your sentences, your last words are cutting off.
All right then.
Excellent. Well, shall we head down and see if Ellie and Aslan are down there?
I think Ali's still asleep. I might just go and throw something at her quickly.
Excellent. I shall see you at the bar.
Could you order me a really nice thick cup of coffee?
A nice, thick cup of coffee, you say?
Yeah, preferably one you can stand your spoon up in.
I'll make a note of that. And Het heads downstairs to the bar.
Thank you!
I'm staying in bed.
You staying in bed?
I just kind of
So-
go back into the room.
Yeah, so it's, I'd say, like early morning. We're probably looking at 6:30, 6:37.
Fuck yeah, I'm staying in bed.
No, I go back into the bedroom and I look at her and she looks nice and snuggly, so I whip the bottom sheet out from underneath her and dump her on. Morning!
Yeah, I don't even think you need to roll a strength check for that. You're strong enough, more than strong enough to do that. Yeah, Alessandros, you get unceremoniously dumped out on the floor. You get rolled out of bed, hit the floor in a heap, instantly shaken awake.
Well, then I guess I'll get dressed and go downstairs.
You can react. You're allowed to react to being rudely woken up.
I'm good.
You good? Actually,
Not silly, are you?
I should make you make a dexterity check, see if you land on your head or something falling out of bed. But I won't do that. So you both head downstairs to meet up with Aslan and Het. Gillian is still asleep. He's remaining in the room, snoring his head off. He's a lot younger than you guys. So you sort of Het, you sort of looked at him. I mean, although you pranked him and you thought it was pretty funny, you're probably feeling a little guilty that the altercation between Aslan and Gillian happened.
Het definitely feels guilty for that.
And you realise that Gillian is young, so he's probably absolutely shattered. So you decide to let him sleep for the time being.
Het gets down to the bar and says to Olaf, what the hell is his name?
Iraf with the R.
I've got it written here. I was taking
Iraf, Olaf, whatever.
Excuse me, Olaf.
Iraf, owner, he sort of turns around and looks at you. Morning, Het. I hope you slept well last evening. No more sleepwalking, I take it.
Not that I could see. Nonetheless,
It's good. I can't afford to keep replacing doors. Sort of
nothing
shakes
for
his
me
head.
to eat, but our friend, the sleepwalker, she would like she said a thick coffee, something you can stand a spoon in. I'm presuming you know how that rolls.
I'm sure we could accommodate. And he sort of raises an eyebrow and sort of heads out to the kitchen and after
that one's on me, by the way. I'll pay for that.
Okay, that's just a silver piece. It'll be fine. So he takes off and it takes a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes. He comes back. And he comes back with a tankard, not a cup, a tankard of really thick, almost looks like molasses. It's just literally, there's a spoon standing up in it. And it's not like a teaspoon, it's like a spoon you eat your soup with, standing up in the cup.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. I shall take that right to the table.
No problem. And he sort of looks over to you, Aslan, and says, Master Aslan, are you after anything this morning?
Have you got a water trough anywhere?
A water trough? Yeah, there's one out the front, but we do have fresh water we can have taken to your room. Or we can even bring out a bowl to you if you wish. I mean, I don't fancy sort of bathing in a water trough. It's a bit smelly and flies and...
I never thought about the bowl thing. Yeah.
Horses do drink out of that. He's giving you a real sideways look. A little bit concerned about the water trough thing. So yeah,
it's fine to hit. Het shares water with horses all the time.
And Arif sort of looks at you and nods and sort of giggles, and he almost like half expecting that would be the case. He sort of goes into the kitchen, comes back, and he comes back with quite a big wooden bowl, probably about 2 or 3 inches deep. Probably, I'd say a good foot long, like a foot round. Almost like, I don't know if you remember the movie 13th Warrior, where they handed around it was a big wooden bowl where they wash themselves in. Pretty much that size. It was that sort of thing, and he brings it out, and he wasn't sure whether you wanted sort of hot or cold water, so it's warm. It's not like piping hot, but it's warm water, and he's got a bit of a clean-ish cloth on the side for you, and just sets it down on the table, and he goes, there you go, Aslan. It's clean. I didn't know whether you wanted it hot or cold, but it's warm. It's a bit of a clean cloth, and I'm not sure what you wanted it for. I was assuming you wanted to wash. So there you go. And he sort of toodles on out.
Thank you. I just splashed with the water in my face.
Not a problem.
I come down the stairs and I go and sit next to Het and say thank you for the coffee, and I'm like, seeing as the prank seemed to be the thing at the moment, I thought I'd just tip Ali out of bed.
He slaps his knee. I wish I'd have seen it. And then he popped her up in the air.
Awesome. So yeah, Alessandra, you come on downstairs as well and take a seat with the guys. You look a little bit dishevelled. Your hair's a bit of a mess. You're
I wonder why.
trying to straighten yourself up as you join the group.
As I dry my face off with the cloth, I just sort of look at Alexandris, take a moment, just nudge the bowl of water in their direction.
Nice.
Yeah, clean yourself up a bit.
Not a problem. So essentially, you guys are. Neymaris has got a giant cup of thick tar, and you guys want to have breakfast. You can order breakfast. I mean, Hit's obviously not saying he didn't want anything. Aslan hasn't ordered anything. You've now got your third trial. How do you proceed?
Well, Hit wonders, and he says this to the team. I wonder, team, this kingdom of Riley, we need to travel to it. We need to know where it is for starters.
So
do we have a map?
You all have been given a map. The map is up on the stream as we speak, but you all have been given a map of Paradym. So at the moment,
as long as we have it.
Yeah, so you have it. So you can you bring out your map, and on your map you'll see the city of Voland is a port city, sort of pokes out the bottom there of the main sort of land. You notice that it actually, where the border runs between Howling Mountain and the Riley districts, Voland almost like sticks out into Riley towards Riley itself, to the east. So to travel by land, if you were to travel overland, you would have to obviously go by horse or by cart or by carriage, and you would have to travel the road from Voland northwest towards Gatton, and follow that road, and then obviously head east into the Dejar Forest, and then carry on through that. That's going to take quite a long time. I would say you're looking probably 2 weeks journey by the time you sort of travel through, and then the city the town that you need to get to before you hit the Weirwood Forest and the abandoned keep would be Paham, which is in the southern regions of Riley.
So, make a suggestion to the team, knowing the area, it would be much faster if we could find passage via sea.
Actually, if I'm not wrong, if we talk to Dad, I think we might have a ring in the arcane.
Whoa, you use ring in this. This is fake sentence.
He's got a ring in the arcana spot room.
Okay.
Oh, that
I
was
think
brilliant.
Everyone saw that coming.
That was awesome. Oh, shit.
I was going to say that Neymaris' dad may be able to help us out.
We have one of those transport thingies, those rings.
Is like an instant transport you're talking?
That's bugger.
Okay.
So,
Will it bring the horses, though? That's the real question.
Well,
probably not.
I wonder.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to Thorfinn first and determine what Neymaris is talking about. If Hit, because you've dealt with the arcane with your bardic skill, and because of your parents, I would say roll a intelligence check for me to see if you know what Neymaris is talking about.
Excellent. I shall take that awesomeness. Just a standard intelligence check?
Just a standard intelligence, yep.
Yeah, 17.
17. So, yeah, with a 17, that's more than enough. It takes you a little while. You sort of try to think, what the hell is this ring? What the hell are you talking about, woman? And then you think, oh, hang on. You've heard your father talk about it, as your father being an adventurer himself. You've heard him talk about teleportation circles and glyphs of teleportation. So you assume that what
And
Neymaris
how
is
dangerous
talking
they are.
about. you assume that that's what she's talking about. That the Arcanus Paradym has teleportation glyphs available probably to either pay for with Namaris's connections. You may get it for free if you're lucky. You never know. But you do have a teleportation option available.
Ezelon, taking that as an option, if we don't take the sea, that would be much quicker, and we have, I believe it was 3 weeks to complete this mission. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Nemaris, would this be costly to us?
Well, I could always talk nicely to Dad. The other thing I was thinking, because my God, my brain hurts this morning, was if I go and talk to one of my city guard folk and see if I can get a writ from him for the person on the other side for horse. If they would be able to do that for me.
So when we get through, are we hungry?
No. You might be. But if you touch my horses, I'll be eating you.
That's a fair statement.
But yeah, so Aslan, make a quick history check for me.
History.
Just a straight history check. So yeah, so it'll be
a D20.
Yep, D20 plus your history modifier.
That would be a 7.
7. Yeah, you're trying to sort of remember. You know that there is you can get passage by ship, but you're not entirely sure how long it would take. It would definitely be quicker than going over land. And looking at the map, you guys are intelligent enough to figure out that if you were taking a ship from the city of Valond to the port near Paham, then you would be. It would definitely be probably a week or less. But you're not 100% sure. But it'd definitely be quicker.
Awesome.
So should we pursue this transportation ring? Should we pursue this avenue first before looking at the ocean as?
I don't know what one of those really is, but I'm gonna go with it.
And you're
At
quite
least I
correct.
get the chance to ask Thorvey about, I don't know, dragon killing stuff. Okay.
Right, so you want to head off to the Arcanist Potterroom to speak to Thorfey about the potential teleportation and more dragon information.
Yes.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okie dokie. So, for the sake of brevity, you guys take the hour, travel through the city, greeting people as you go. Namaris, you see city guard that you know, and you give them a wave and a nod, and they wave and nod back. And you make your way to the guild hall of the Arcanist Potterroom. Again, the door. It's a pretty good day today. Is it? There has been a bit of rain overnight. Nothing too major. So it's a nice day. A little bit of cloud in the sky, but it's probably coming into still early morning, about 8:30, 9 o'clock. You've sort of spent an hour or two sort of planning what you wanted to do, and you make your way to the Arcanist Potterroom, and you walk through the front doors. You're greeted by a Namaris, similar sort of sight. You've got a few sort of acolytes that are milling around, reading books, and there's the half-elven lady at the desk doing her thing as she normally does. She sort of looks up and instantly recognises all of you. You've been here a few times now, but recognises Namaris and gives you a polite smile and a nod, and sort of just waves you through without speaking. She knows exactly why you're there. So as far as you generally do come there to see Thorfey straight away. Thorfey's on the second floor this time. As you come into the main sort of hall of the building, to your left and your right, there's a curved staircase on the outskirts of the building that sort of lead up to almost like a mezzanine style tier floor, and there's bookshelves and other doorways and that up there, and he's just sitting at a bit of a comfy chair and a small table, just thumbing through a book. He hasn't noticed you as yet.
Hello, Dad.
she says brazenly as she walks in the door. He sort of pops up, looks down over his side, and closes his book and stands up and sort of doesn't say anything. He sort of comes down the stairs, walks down very again, very proud man. He stands really straight and tall, and he sort of just almost glides down the stairs. It's kind of, his robes come right down to the floor, so it's kind of uncanny. It's almost like he's floating, but I mean, you can hear the footsteps on the stairs as he comes down. And his name Morris. I bid you welcome, and your friends welcome as well. What can I help you with today?
Dragons.
Dragons, you say? Well, what, anything in particular about dragons? We do have an extensive library, and I know a little bit about dragons myself. Unfortunately, I've had the pleasure of fighting a dragon in my younger days. Not a pleasant experience, I tell you, but we were successful in our quest, and I pray I don't ever have to fight another one again, to be honest.
So you don't fancy coming with us then?
Coming with you to kill a dragon?
Yeah.
Really? You're serious? Oh,
Yeah.
How handsome is this man?
He's pretty handsome. He's an older elf. Like you would. I mean, I don't know. You wouldn't know roughly how old he is, but you'd assume he's been around for a long time because he's starting to get a bit of the crow's feet, but he's still very youthful looking, as most elves are. They do live a long time.
It says, I see by your looks you lost the battle.
And he smiles and nods, and gives a bit of a chuckle and says, "Yes, well, it was a long time ago, and we did suffer our scars, but of course we had some good clerics, and I think the only scars I have now are more mental than physical. But
So not
amusing.
old age.
No, not old age. But do you know much about this dragon that you're supposed to be fighting? I hope. Do you know its age, by any chance?
We think a younger one.
Oh, so a dragonling. When we say young, they're probably 10 or 15, even 20 years old, but still formidable opponents. Do you know what colour this dragon is to be at all?
Sure.
You're not sure?
Might be black, and it might be blue.
Blue or black? Well, if it's a blue, they are easier.
Blue all over.
Well, if you're successful, I assume it would be.
Maybe a little bit of red in there.
Yeah, and yeah, well, I mean, blue dragons do bleed red-ish. So he sort of goes through, and it sort of tells you that it gives you the information that you already gleaned from the book that you'd previously read. Essentially, he tells you again that they are reasonable, even at that age. They are reasonable. Blues are reasonably intelligent, and you could negotiate. Although, depending on where you strike it, if it's not established a lair, then it's more likely to negotiate than if it's established a lair. If it's established a lair already, then chances are it'll probably attack you on sight, or at the very least, it may try and convince you just to leave it alone, or it may try to enslave you. That's essentially what they do. I mean, most dragons are reasonably arrogant. The black, however, is another story. The black is very aggressive. Lair or no lair, the black will attack without warning, and is very aggressive. I hope for your sake it's a blue. You may have an alternative to just an outright fight. Although a young dragon is not it's not an impossible fight. It is not an easy fight neither. So I do hope you keep your wits about you. And Neymaris, I do hope that you just don't rush in and try not to be a hero.
Yes, only fools rush in.
I just kind of give him a sideways look.
50 bonus XP. just mark that down, dude. We'll add it up. Add it to the end of the
Sweet.
night. Just mark it down. You got it. But that was awesome. But yes, he turns to you, Namaris, and sort of puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, "I know you're eager to prove yourself and prove yourself a warrior. You don't need to prove anything to us here. You've protected us all these years, and we know your mettle, and we just don't want to see you get hurt."
I'm just, well, he's got me just kind of on my own. I'm going to look at him and go,
He hasn't got you on his own. That was with
well,
that's in
I'm just
front
going
of
to
the
look at
group.
him and say, have you got like 5 minutes soon to just have a quick chat, Dad? Just when we're
Always,
getting this all
I
sorted out.
always have time for you, Namaris. You know that. You were practically born here. I mean, you weren't born here, obviously. You were left here, but we've raised you as our own, and you've been our protector all these years.
I just
So,
kind of look at the group and say, well, once we've got this sorted, I just need to take 5 and just have a quick chat with Dad before I come with you.
so that's
Well, why she's
That's a
doing
gesture of respect
that?
so he's given you all the
Can I go-
information about the
I
dragons.
want to go through the books. I
You want to go through the books.
want to have a look at them. Yes.
You'll have to ask permission. You can't just go through the books. Most of the bookcases are locked.
Oh, never mind then.
You
Ooh,
look
lovely.
around the room, and most of them are in cases. Like there's a few books scattered around the ground floor, which are obviously open to the public, which is just general reading books, general histories of Paradym. The upper level, the mezzanine floor, has bookcases which have all got doors on, like glass doors, and most of them will be locked because they'll be more like arcane style tomes and things like that. And there is an actual proper library which is off limits to the public.
Bugger.
But if you ask nicely, you might just be allowed to go and have a look.
Could you ask for me?
Thorfie's standing right there; he can hear you.
Hey, Dad. Now, Ellie's a bit shy because, I don't know why. Could she go and have a look at the books, please?
And he turns to you and says, "Miss Alessandris," and he you noticed almost instantly. He gives you a look that it worries you a little bit because you sort of. It's almost like a look of knowing, like he knows something. That being he is an old elf and very knowledgeable in the arcane. He turns to you and says, "Miss Alessandros, which books in particular would you be interested in? Any particular
Shadows.
subject?
Shadows.
Book of Shadows. I think I know what you're looking for. We don't have anything on that particular subject here right now, but I can possibly get you one. If you come back in a couple of weeks, I will go through our library and I'll send a message to the elder mages and see if they can send me a book on that subject. It's not one we keep here readily.
Cool, thank you.
You're very welcome."
He leans over to Aslan and says, whispering, says, "Is shadows secret slang for pornography?"
Do I hear him say that?
How to cook elves? No, it was a whisper. So,
You're like shades of grey.
but yeah, Alessandros, you definitely feel uneasy with the way Thorfie looked at you. You get that feeling that he definitely knows something about you that you probably don't want him to know.
Especially asking for those kind of books.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
I say, come back and see us in a week or two, and we should have a book on that subject for you.
Ooh.
Yes, Master Aslan.
So, you fought a dragon, you won. Got any tips? Other than
Be
don't
fast.
fight if you can help it.
Well, I mean, if you can avoid the battle, I mean, that honestly, that would be preferable to just face-to-face combat.
So dragon's a proud creature, though, right?
Dragons are a very proud and intelligent creature. They're also very vain, and
There's really nothing that I can think of to negotiate getting it to give up some scales and teeth.
that would depend on your conversation with the dragon and the dragon itself. Every dragon is slightly different, based on its color and its lifestyle. I mean, if most dragons are quite solitary right from birth, they don't tend to migrate or pack up. They're very solemn creatures. They look for gold. They look for slavery. They like to have people pampered to their every need, more or less. I mean, it's that is the life of a dragon. There are few exceptions, coppers and brass dragons, which are on the opposite end of that spectrum, which are all too willing to help the humanoids. But blues, the chromatics are the worst. Blues, blacks, greens, the whites, and of course the red. The red is the foulest of all of the dragonkin. No offense, Master Het, but
Yeah, I'm not red. I'm good.
no, of course. But you're also, even though you are dragonkin, you are still a step away from the foul worm that the red has become. Even though you
Oh, so
share
now
similar
it's an
blood
insult.
No, not really. Not to you, sir.
I'm like the missing link.
Little bit, no. No,
Anyhow.
he's very sincere. He is genuinely worried for all of you, not just Neymaris.
So
I believe we're looking for
fast.
transport there.
You're looking for transportation. Oh, would you like? We do have access. Well, of course, we have access to the teleportation circles for a lot of the major cities here in.
That's what they're called.
It's a teleportation glyph. Sorcerers.
Better than Ring of Arcanus.
We have heard it called that before, believe it or not, and it has a ring to it. And he sort of giggles, and says, "No, we call it a teleportation circle or a teleportation glyph, but we do have glyphs to most of the major towns and cities in the Paradym."
So sorry, Dean. Not one of us would have been in a teleportation glyph before, right?
Neymaris would have seen it used. I don't think she's used it herself. She definitely would have seen it used. Aslan,
'Cause I imagine it's an expensive thing normally.
it would be as a normal thing. You've heard your father talk about it with your intelligence check earlier.
Yep.
So you've definitely heard about them. You've not seen one in person. You've not seen the glyph or anything like that, but you've definitely heard about them. You've heard your father talk about being teleported, and he's described it to you in some way of sort of how it feels. So you've got an idea of what it is and how it kind of works. But the rest of the group, like Alessandros, you've never heard of them, never seen them. Neymaris, obviously, you've been in and around the Arcanum, so you've seen it used. You've not used it yourself. And Aslan, I would say probably not. I'd say you've probably heard of them, but you've never seen one or never used one. But yes, he says, for you guys, for Neymaris, of course, I could allow you to use it this one time free of charge. It's normally a reasonable expense, as it does take a quite a bit of arcane energy to teleport a single person, let alone a group, over, depending on the distance and how far you need to go. But this time we can allow you to use it for no charge. But normally there'd be a charge of around, for a group your size, probably around 300 to 400 gold pieces per use. So it's not cheap, and you can only use it sort of once or twice per week. Otherwise, it can have some pretty negative effects on the body. It's a rough journey, but not rough in the sense that it will take damage, but it can have, if you've never done it before, you could have dizziness and like just almost like motion sickness. When you get out the other end, you sort of feel like you've been torn apart and put back together again, and you just feel hazy and sort of disorientated for a minute or two at the end if you've never done it before. The sort of thing.
Okay.
But it's not dangerous. Like, it's something the mages uses all the time. It's one that has studied the arcane for a number of years, can use it more often without having those effects, because it's part of their magical makeup. So that is available to you. You have that option to teleport. He asks you, so where would you be wanting to teleport to?
Paham.
Oh, Paham. Well, that's relatively close. Well, I mean that trip alone would probably be half the cost anyway, but around 200 gold pieces, and you shouldn't have any of the adverse effects with your first travel. I'm assuming none of you have travelled this way before. I know Namaris hasn't. She's seen it happen, but she's not used it herself.
Not yet, but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, so you will expect to feel a little strange upon exiting the teleportation circle of Paham. I will send a message forward to the Arcanum in Paham and alert them to your arrival, so you don't scare the crap out of them. And although it would be funny. He again chuckles to himself. You get the sense that he's probably done it before, where he's just sent people through without telling them and scared the crap out of whoever's at the other end. And says, yeah, well, whenever you're ready to go, just come back and let me know, and we will get you where you need to go.
Excellent. Hit is happy.
So basically, you guys now, Namaris, you wanted to take Thorfia aside for a moment before you decide what you're doing?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you take him aside. He takes you aside away from the group, not to a private office, but just to the other side of the room, which is relatively private. There's no one really sort of walking around. And says, just Namaris, you needed to speak with me.
Dad, does the name Ashana Kartash kind of mean anything to you?
So I have this written down. Give me a second. I'm going to bring up my notes. Here we go here. Here we go.
And what's a Kalishtar?
Hang on. Don't get too far ahead. So I wrote this down. Here we go. He's the moment you mention the word Kalisar, he's never heard. He says, "Oh, he doesn't react when you say the name Ashana." But his eyes widen for a second, and then he sort of composes himself when you mention the Kalistar, and he sort of drops his head a little bit and drops his hands into his own hands, sort of clasp them in front of him, and he says, Namaris, I've been waiting for this day. I was not sure whether this would happen now or much later in life. Kalishtar is a race of people who are linked to the spirit world via a spirit of light. You are a Kalishtar. That is your race. You are not human, as you've been led to believe all these years. I wasn't sure telling you would be a good idea. You were left. We found you. You were left on the doorstep of the Arcanum when you were just a wee baby, but still larger than most. You were very strong as a child. You grew quickly. You excelled in the martial skill. While we tried to teach you the arcane ways, it never really took with you. You were never really interested in the arcane. You always leaned towards more the martial skill, weapons combat, hand-to-hand combat. Your strength was unmatched. And I researched as much as I could about your people, and the only thing that I found in my research was the mark that you bear on your left rib is the mark of the warrior, and the Kalashtar fear this. They fear the darkness that the warrior spirit brings. I mean, they're generally a peaceful people. They have a prophecy of such, which depicts the coming of the warrior spirit, the dark, what they call the dark dreams or the dark spirits. And upon seeing that mark, I assume they left you here. I mean, there was no note, nothing of that sort. So that is all I know.
Right.
I can give you the books that I have learned from. You can find out more if you wish.
We might do that when we come back. How do I take this?
So you want, what do you mean, how do you take this?
How do I take that? I'm trying to think. Bit taken aback by this. Like, you've lied to me all this time?
We haven't exactly lied. He never told you the truth. He let you just live your life. You never asked, so he never told you.
Okay. Alright, thanks, Dad.
So, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to, if you're unsure that he's telling you the truth, you can do an insight check if you want to do that.
Nope. I think if he's been my dad for that long, I'd know if he was.
Well, so, I mean,
trust him.
if you want to do an insight check to determine whether he's lying or not, that's completely up to you. Or you can just trust him outright and believe that he's telling you the truth. So yeah, so essentially what he's telling you is that he's giving you information that you never had. So you, as far as you knew you were given up. You knew you were left on the doorstep. That much they've always told you, that you'd been left at the Arcanum, and they raised you, they educated you, they put you into the city guard for martial training, and they had other training tutors to train you in the martial combat, which is why you're proficient in a lot of weapons. You have that mark. You know the mark he's talking about. You've seen it. You've often wondered. You just thought it was a birthmark, but now that you sort of understand, have heard that, you can see what he's talking about. It is this particular shape, and you now get the sense of feeling that what Ashana has talked to you about is it seems to be coming sort of in line. It makes sense to you.
All right.
So it doesn't feel foreign to you what he's telling you.
Okay. Well, at that point, I'm just gonna give him a big hug and say, "Well, thanks for that, Dad. We can talk about it again later if you need. If I have any
Definitely.
questions."
I would never. I mean, I only kept this from you because you never asked, and I didn't think it pertinent at the time. I knew this day would come, and I've been expecting it.
I've been having some pretty funky dreams. Like, really weird people talking to me dreams.
Roll a wisdom check for me, just quickly.
$16.
16. Thorfinn, that last part you said, Thorfinn sort of stands bolt upright and looks at you, and then you hear inside your head, "That's okay, Namaris. We knew this was coming, and this is expected." And you're looking directly at him. His lips are not moving, but you can hear him talking to you. And by his reaction, you get the impression that you've just done the same thing. You didn't verbalize that with your vocal cords. It is just it was a thought that you had. You didn't actually speak it.
Oh.
But you heard him reply in the same way.
right.
And he then lets you go and sort of turns and walks back and heads back up the stairs and turns and and wishes everyone well. He said, when you need to use the teleportation circle, let me know. Come back and see us and we will organise your travel to Paham. And he goes back up to the mezzanine floor and sits back down at his book.
Well, I just carry on and go and join the girl. Hey, right, well, where are we off to now, guys?
We're gonna try for free horses, or are we just gonna go for it?
Well, you could always ask one of the city guardsmen if there's any way we could get horses on the other.
You can give that a try if you like, Damaris.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay. I've forgotten the name of the city guard person that I speak to.
That's all right, so have I. I thought I had this written down. I don't think I have. Someone must have had it written down, surely.
I did. The book's gone.
Now the book's
Not
in the drawer.
I did
The
not
book's
talk
in the
to
drawer.
him.
Your book's in the drawer. Bottom drawer, I think. I can't remember I damn sure I put the captain of the guard's name down. I just don't know where. Hang on, it might be in here.
We know what he looks like. We just talk to the man you recognise. No one needs names here.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can go see the captain of the guard. So
I'd go and call him Tim.
Aslan, possibly. I just got your message, and possibly. That'll probably not at this stage though. That may come a little later. I don't want to run too close to that just yet. Where's actually it'll be under velocity information. 1 second, guys. Got to find my.
So we head to this guard. Is he nearby?
You want to go to the head of the guard, so he will be at the Dragon Stables. Where the barracks are located, pretty much right next to the Dragon Stables. So it'll take you again about an hour or so to get there from where you are.
Also, team, are we going to? I mean, Gillian is still asleep. Are we going to leave him there, travel without him, or should we wake him up and bring him along anyway?
Can we tie him up first?
They say we could always shove him in a pack and just stick him over the back of one of the horses if we take him.
Would he fit inside the magical bag?
He
Pull him out when we need him.
He could fit inside the magical bag, but he won't be able to breathe in there. So
I believe he would have no ear.
He would.
What if we
he would probably
also
die.
put air in the magical bag?
No, that won't work, unfortunately.
I reckon we should just leave him at the inn.
I think I've got the
Problem is,
information here.
if he wakes up when we're gone, he might be disappointed he didn't get the quest.
True too.
Maybe he'll be happy. He doesn't have to run the risk of watching his entire team
Hello.
die again.
Oh, she fell off.
Alright.
That's a good call. Yes, and he doesn't have to worry about me fixing his pipe again either, I suppose.
Breton Hart is the captain of the guard.
Oh, that's right. Breton.
Breton Hart. I knew I had it somewhere.
Let's go see Breton and see what we can do, shall we?
Done. We're there.
So so what did you decide to do with Gillian?
Chuck him on the back of one of the horses, I think.
I think we should bring him along.
You're gonna bring him along? Okay.
Tie him up first, yeah.
Well, we'll do
Absolutely.
we'll do the barracks first, and so up to you guys whether you want to go grab him now or do the horse thing first.
I think
We'll
we
do the horse thing first, and we'll tie him up.
Okay.
Oh well, you guys
So-
get the horses. I can go pick up
Well, that could work too.
Gillian.
Team
And-
split.
Don't have
I'll head
headquarters
with
to come with me.
Aslan.
And you can
Nice.
yeah, okay. So for sake of brevity, it wouldn't take you too much. I mean, for Namaris to go to get organise possibly a writ to get horses, you get there. He's happy to give you a writ. He says it won't guarantee you get horses for free at Paham, but it'll certainly help you with procuring transport at the other side. Most city guard are linked via the basic laws of the realm. But most city guard act also independently and have their own laws and ways of doing things. But he said that the writ will definitely help you. You guys head back to the inn. You wake Gillian, who is had a pretty restless night's sleep, but he's been sleeping like he's pretty tired. He's still annoyed about the pipe, and gives Aslan a bit of a wide berth, and sort of he's still not sure whether you were telling the truth yet about the whole confession thing, whether you're just trying to cover for Aslan or not. So he's still.
He just apologizes again and says, "Come on the way."
So you grab him. You guys head back, and you meet at the back at the Arcanist Paradym, ready to take your teleportation circle to Paham.
Excellent. Right, how do we do this?
So you return to the Arcanist Paradym, and Thorfi is there, and he greets you again. He says, "Well, follow me," and he leads you through a door at the back of the ground floor, and leads you down a long sort of winding corridor. Goes at the end of it is a spiral staircase leading down. It's all dimly lit with torches as you go, and you get to a large room, and in the center is a very sort of well painted on the floor. It's like a painting of the realm of Paradym. So it's essentially the map you guys have, and it's been painted on the floor. And around the room, it's a big round room, and around the room there's just a whole bunch of little archways, and in each archway you all can see it. Each archway has a glowing circle. There's enough room in each one of the little sort of rooms where these glowing circles are for about 10 people max. And each glyph is just got a faint arcane glow to it, just a real faint light blue glow. And there's about 12 or 13 different sort of chambers there, each with a glyph. And as you heard before, that you assume that each one of those glyphs leads to a different town or city within the Paradym realm. And he sort of walks across the map and sort of beckons you over, and he stands at the doorway or the archway of one of the glyphs and says, "This glyph here will take you to the township of Paham. It is you could go by ship as well if you couldn't afford to use a teleportation circle, but this is definitely the quickest way to go." So
How much time will we lose in travel here?
It's instantaneous. You will literally step into the circle. He will basically utter the words and use the command to teleport you, because it's not just the circle. Like, the circle's where you'll get teleported from and to, but it's his arcane magic that'll actually send you, and it'll be instantaneous.
Ellie, do you mind doing me a favor?
What would that be?
Would you like to check this circle for traps for me, please?
I just give him a sideways look.
And
go,
Thorfi just says, "Be my guest."
I'm just shaking my head, going, "I've seen so many people."
Okay. Namaris, it's okay. I'll handle this.
All right.
roll.
I take a quick look at the circle.
Yeah.
Then I turn to Het, say
it's what? You cut out.
And say it's all clear.
Nice.
Het is happy. Het is happy. He believes Ellie everything she says.
Oh, awesome.
Het is not sure of DM.
Yeah, Trashy, make a note of 50 bonus XP for you as well, dude. We'll add that at the end of the night. That was awesome. So again, Thorfi.
So he's happy with it.
Yeah, Thorfi then motions you guys to all stand in the circle. You don't have to link hands or anything. You just have to be within the glyph itself. And he instructs you
So
just
all
to
of us
stand.
together?
Yep. You just all go together. You don't have to go one at a time.
Oh, I was gonna say you first, Ellie.
He goes,
I'm
no.
all excited now. I've never
He
been to
goes,
one of
no.
these things
You
before.
can all go together. It's big enough for you 5 to travel. Sorry. Now that Gillian has rejoined.
I step boldly first into the center of the ring.
He's one ring to rule
Oh,
them
as
all.
you're boldly going where no half-elf has gone before.
Actually, several half-elves have used this circle, but...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me have this.
No, I want to have it. It's mine. So, Aslan steps into the glyph first. Who is following? Everyone else stepping on into the glowing glyph of doom. I mean teleportation. So you all step on.
Hit stomps his foot at the edge of it a bit, wary, and steps into it, looking around, making sure nothing's sticking out at his loot stain in the circle.
And as you all find here within the glyph, Thorfi sort of steps back, and you see him trace a glyph in front of him, and mutter a few arcane words, some of which you recognise. It's not a spell, but you recognise some of the components, and in a flash.
I escaped to the stars, something.
In a flash,
We're all gonna die down here.
In a flash, you instantly teleported. You blink and you feel like you haven't moved. You open your eye. You were looking at Thorfi, then now you're looking into an empty room, but it looks very similar to the room you were just in. But the map's not on the floor. There's no map on the floor. It's not as big as the room you just came from. There's probably only maybe half a dozen other glyphs in this room, and the room is empty.
So
Do we
says
feel
the
any
group,
heat or
well,
cold? Sorry.
It either worked or we're dead.
Hello,
And I
is there
carry on
anybody out
walking.
there?
Do we feel any heat or cold or any change?
No, you don't. You feel like a little bit hazy, almost like those of you that get car sick will probably know this feeling. You feel almost on the verge of headachy, but not quite. But you feel like if you move too quickly, you feel like you might fall over. It's just that real sort of hazy, blurry kind of feeling.
I set off at a brisk walk.
And fall flat on your face. No.
I just poke Alessandris on the side and go, "My God, is this how you were feeling the other morning?"
Right. So as you step out of the teleportation circle, you hear someone coming down the stairs, and you are greeted by. When I find my bits and pieces.
Bananas in pajamas.
You were greeted by an elvish woman. She is wearing very similar robes to what Thorfi was wearing. You get the impression this is either the another Arcanist Paradym faction or something similar thereof. So it's not exactly the same, but very similar. Long, sort of silvery robes, gold trim. Real long, sort of dirty blonde hair comes pretty much all the way down her back, almost to basically to her hips. She's wearing like a gold circlet on her head, and it sort of keeps the hair out of her face. And she's got her hands inside her robes. She's got the sleeves on her robes are quite long and got like real big kind of thing, so she can put both arms inside. Looks like she's got no arms, but she comes and just comes down and greetings, travellers. Thorfi has informed me that you were arriving. Please follow me. And she then turns and heads back up a similar spiral staircase which came down.
Well, I guess we follow then, team, do we?
I just look at them and go, "Don't see why not." Excuse
I
me.
hope that we can manage stairs.
What's your name?
She doesn't say anything to you. She's already halfway up the stairs.
I said, "Excuse me. What was your name again?"
She ignores you.
I just start
Just
walking.
muttering in my breath, these bloody ignorant elves.
Well, you don't. Well, when I say she ignores you, she doesn't respond. You don't know whether she's ignoring you or whether she actually hasn't heard you. But yeah,
I guess we all follow.
Yep.
If Ezelyn's going, I'm going. So
Right, I'll come with you.
So you follow her up the
Somebody's
stairs.
gonna protect you from myself.
And she's waiting for you at the top of the stairwell, which leads into another hallway, and she basically waves you through and bows as each one of you pass her, and
I bow as I pass also.
and she acknowledges that with a slight smile, and then
gives the heavy metal salute.
she gives you an odd look, sort of eyebrow raise, but a smile nonetheless, and then follows you up the hallway and just as you carry on. And when you come to the end of it, there's a double door, which before you even reach the door, it silently swings open, and you're now standing in the main hall of the guild house in Paradym. So there's a bunch of people milling around. There's a mix of elves. There's a half orc floating around. Looks like a couple of humans. You get the impression by looking at it and looking with the set out of the place that this is a joint guild house. So it's there looks like there's representatives of most of the major guilds here. So there are the half orc that you've seen is wearing the insignia of the Order of the Black Lion. So you know that he's probably a fully fledged member of the Adventurers Guild. There's other half elves and elves wandering around wearing mage robes and similar attire to the lady that you just dealt with, and let's say a few humans. A couple look like they might be servants, and there's a few bards floating around as well. Just again, all sort of minding their own business, doing their own thing. The lady then,
Ezelyn, should we move through the room?
Comes up behind you guys, and says, well, you are obviously a part of either the Arcanum or another guild, I'm assuming, to have access to the teleportation glyph. If indeed that is the case, you are welcome to lodgings here of the evening. There are plenty of rooms available, and welcome to Paradym. My name is Inwell, and if you need anything, don't hesitate to ask. And she again bows deeply. It says ENWEL.
Yeah, when I asked her
Thank
5
you.
minutes ago, she couldn't even tell me her bloody name.
She didn't hear you.
I look at the
I-
boys and Ellie, and I'm like, really, I'd be happier if we went and found him.
First thing, we should probably have a look over our contract, see if there's anyone that we need to contact while we're here.
So you want to look at
Good idea.
your contract? So your contract pretty much all it really states is that you need to track. I'll bring up the exact contract here in a moment. Where is it? There it is. You need to find firstly the abandoned keep, which is north of the Weirwood Forest. It's been marked on your map, so you know exactly where it is. You need to locate and dispatch the blue/black dragon that is located therein, and you're obviously, same as usual contract, you're welcome to any loots that you find. You will get paid a handsome fee on returning with the items that are listed in your contract, which was the dragon hide, the claws, teeth, and the dragon heart. You don't have to contact anyone while you're here. I say the guild house stores are at your disposal if you need supplies, rations, healing potions, things like that. They are available to you here at a slightly discounted price.
That could be a good idea to get some equipment, team.
So yeah, so I say Enwell has said to you if you need anything, just to contact her. She will take care of anything you need while you are staying. You can explore Paham if you wish, as well, or you can do all your shopping here. It's up to you.
I think it might be wise to make sure we're stocked up on, potions, things that'll stop us from being dead.
My sentiments exactly.
That would be a good idea.
Was Enwell
So-
gone, or is she still?
She's still sort of floating around the room.
See if I can, get her attention.
Get her attention. You wave her down. She then approaches again, and again bows. And yes,
Also bow.
Is there anything you need? I don't believe I
Yes.
caught your name. I'm so sorry. We've been quite busy here of late. Do forgive me. What are your names? My name is Enwell. I am one of the stewards here for the Guild House of Paham. We house many of the guilds here, not only the Arcanist Potterum, but a faction of the Order of the Lion, the Black Lion, and we do offer room and lodgings to travelling bards of the Mithlorian Academy as well.
Not to worry. I am Azalan.
Greetings,
These are
Aslan.
my companion.
Yes, I am Hit. Great bard extraordinaire, both of the Black Lion, well, hoping to be, and of the Mithlorian Academy. And Hit bows deeply.
And she returns the bow, and almost as deeply as you've bowed to her. It's already a member of the Mithlorian Academy. Greetings,
Indeed.
Master Bard. And you are, and she sort of motions to you, Namaris.
Hello, I'm named Maris. I was one of the city guard over in Vlog. I'm also Thorfey's daughter.
Ah, yes, I have heard of you, Namaris. Thorfey does travel here from time to time, and he speaks most highly of you. Greetings, Namaris of Voland. Welcome to Paham.
I grab her hand and give it a good shake.
And she sort of, and it's a good shake. It's strong, and she sort of grimaces a little bit. It's not something she's not used to being touched, for one. Then returns her hands back into her sleeves, and then turns to Alessandros. And again, Alessandros, you notice that same look that Thorfey gave you, that look of recognition, but also you get the feeling that she's not going to say anything. I mean, it's just one of those things.
Cool.
She gets that. She's got that look of recognition, and just bows and greetings. And you are.
And Chandras.
Greetings, Alessandros. Again, welcome to the Guild House of Paham. How may I help you today?
Couple of things. We could probably use some decent healing potions
Healing potions?
of various sorts. Possibly some, I don't know, anti-venoms.
Anti-venom. I don't... Two. Healing potions we can do. As I assume I know, Master Het, you're a member of the Mithlorian Academy. The rest of you, are you members of the Academy as well? Or another guild, perhaps?
Not me.
Does
Kind
initiate count?
You can show the contract to verify that you are indeed on mission from the Black Line, because it has got the guild seal on it.
Do that.
You produce the contract. She opens it up and says, yes, you're on initiate trial for the Black Line. Well, yes, we can definitely help you. Just one moment. So you're looking for health potions and possibly some kind of anti-venom. So she says, we have on stock at the moment, we have 3 potions of healing. We have, what have we got here? She pulls out a little scroll. Looks like it's got a list of things on. We don't have any anti-venom as such, we do have
Any poisons, dear lady?
We have a potion of poison resistance. We have a couple of those. We have a potion of poison, but that's designed to poison the drinker.
Yes, it would like a potion of poison.
To poison the drinker, not to obviously not to cure the poison. Yes,
Correct.
so she will sell you a potion of poison you can buy for about 10 gold, 10 or 15 gold. We'll say 15 gold for a potion of poison.
He would like to barter this down a little. He thinks 15 is hefty. Maybe
That's
12?
15 is at the discount. It's normally 25.
He thinks this is a bit too pricey for him.
Too pricey? Not a problem.
Yes, he will let it stand. What is the healing potions worth?
Standard healing potions for guild members and initiates is a standard 5 gold pieces per potion.
I'm sorry, how much
with
was the other one?
The potion of poison, which is a standard poison, is 15 gold.
It may take 2 if that is all right. Of the healing.
2 of the healing potions, and she hands you off 2 healing potions. That leaves 1 healing potion she's got left. She's got a potion of poison, and she's got 1 potion of greater healing, and a potion of poison resistance.
Grab the potion of poison and the potion of poison resistant.
So 15 gold for the potion of poison, and the potion of poison resistance is 20 gold.
Ed would also like the team to know he has quite a few healing potions if anyone requires them. They are not for himself, they are for the team.
I just kind of look at Hit and go, I don't know why you didn't just grab it and give him the potion of poison.
There you go, you've been given a potion of poison.
Hit thanks Nemaris and puts it away and says, never fear, I just didn't quite have enough gold for that.
So what she's got left is a potion of healing, which is the standard, and one greater potion of healing.
I mean, we do have a bag of holding with 320 gold.
Yeah, you do have party funds too, guys, so remember that.
Damn it, I forgot, but it does not matter.
Yeah, remember your party funds. You guys can split those party funds at any time or keep them as a party, so that's up to you.
How much would a potion of standard healing and a potion of greater healing
So the greater healing is 4d4 plus 4, and the standard healing is 2d4 plus 2.
And how much would each of those cost?
5 gold for the potion of healing, and for the greater it would be 15.
I think it worth spending 20 gold on both of those for the party.
And that is, and she says, well, thank you very much. You've pretty much bought out our stocks.
Hit agrees, good decision.
So,
We're gonna.
and where might I ask? Oh, she's looking at the contract. You're heading north to the abandoned keep outside the Werewood Forest.
That's correct.
She says, we've heard not good things out there. There is definitely a dragon out there, I can tell you. We're still not 100% sure of its colour. It's not been seen outside of the keep. It has been seen at night, flying around the keep. Hence why we're not 100% sure whether it's a blue or a black, but it's definitely of a darker colour. So you could be rest assured it is not a red, or definitely not a white. We can confirm that.
Good to know, but are there any other dangers that we should be aware of in the area?
The Werewood Forest has standard creepy crawlies and beasts. There's a few bears lurked occasionally, other wild animals. But apart from that, nothing overly dangerous. I mean, bandits always lurk around the area. I mean, that's a common hazard these days. But you 5 looked like you could possibly handle yourself in a battle. I mean, I think you'd be quite okay. It's only the keep is only probably less than a day's walk from here. Realistically, it's not that far at all. If you look on your map. by comparison to where you went to the Howling Mountains, which took you a day by horse, the trek from, if you would take by horseback, would probably take you about 6 or 7 hours by horseback, but probably a full day's walk. Because it's just you don't have to pass through Weirwood Forest to get it. You can travel across the plains, which you would know this Aslan. You'd know the area reasonably well, around sort of roughly around the keep and south of Hatfield. You've travelled this road before. You've travelled to Paham and taken the ship to the Eldritch City of Valon. That's how you got there. So you that's why you roughly knew how long it would take to get across that strait. So you know it's going about a day's walk, about half a day by horse.
Are we to walk or are we to ride?
I remember.
What's that? Sorry,
It
Aslan?
depends on how easy it is to get horses. Now, just the world is smaller than I remember.
Just a little bit.
Well, I can try and go and get some horses.
Well, I think
if you like.
probably the last time you travelled this way, you did so by foot, and you weren't in any hurry. You were just travelling at your own pace, so it probably does feel smaller. Now you're travelling with a group that travels with a little bit more haste than you're used to travelling.
Yes. Well, let us look for some horses. Also, has
So
anybody given the ladies the money from the bag? Who has the bag?
Neymar, Alessandros has the bag. So
You paid our dear friend, Alessandros?
20 gold, please. Yeah. Enwell approaches you. Alessandro says the others have sort of motioned that you'll be paying.
Oh, awesome.
And she
Reaches into
20
the
gold,
bag
thank
and
you, Miss
reaches into the
Alessandros.
bag and drags out 20 gold.
And she takes it. And you are welcome to stay here. There are lodgings here available here. There are, obviously, if you don't wish not to stay here, which is free of charge, of course, being a part of the guild, there is an inn in town. I'm pretty sure they have rooms available. It's not been too busy around town right now.
I don't know. We came in the morning, didn't we?
Yep.
Is it
So
worth
you
wasting time getting in?
Yeah. So you guys, it's probably by the time you did your to and from for the horses and back to the inn to get Gillian, you've probably about lunchtime ish now. By now, lunchtime, 1 o'clock.
Should we go and try and find some lunch, guys?
A light snack would do us good, I think.
Yes, and we can maybe make a plan as we sit and eat.
No problem. So you ask, I assume you ask Enwell where the local inn would be?
Yes, indeed.
So she then, when I find the inn, which is here, she says, yes, if you go to Redcastle Borough, which is south of here, you will find the Cracked Mug Inn. It's a little adventurers inn. It's nothing too fancy, but it's serviceable, and they do pretty good meals there.
Is there a necromancer rumored to be buried underneath it?
No. No, the inn is a small, half-timbered building. I'll explain that when you get there. But yeah, she said it's not fast. It's probably from Paham's only route is quite small. You'll notice you'll notice once you leave the guild house that the Paham itself isn't very big, and it only takes you about sort of 10 or 15, 20 minutes to get to the inn the way she described how to get to it. And when you get to the inn, it's not flash. It's a small half timbered building with only a few crude tables and benches, sort of around the place. Accommodations consist of like sort of woolen blankets near the hearth, so there's not actual rooms at this inn. It's just somewhere for you to sort of lay your head. Aslan, you'd probably feel quite at home here because it's right by the fire. The innkeeper, which you can see, is a female elf. She's very plain looking with short shoulder length hair, dirty blonde, wearing light blue simple dress with a sort of white, creamy white sort of waist apron, She's got a tea towel sort of slung over one shoulder, and she's sort of just wandering around. There's not many people here. There's only 2 or 3 people here at this time of day. So it's been pretty quiet in the city, or in the town. Sorry, it's not really a city. It's a small sort of village, large village, about 2,600 people. So it's not very big at all. So yeah, that's what you see when you get there.
Well, should we take up a table,
Nice.
team? Yes.
So you're gonna take up a table. You sit at a table, and the elven lady wanders over. She again bows and greets you. Greetings, travelers. What can I help you with today?
What have you got for lunch?
We have a number of basic meals. We don't serve anything too fancy. We've got a vegetable stew with a mug of perry ale. We have roasted pork, millet biscuits, and a tankard of stout. We have roasted leek and a mug of ale. And we have pottage, which is kind of like a potato porridge. Kind of. With a mug of perry as well, perry ale. She looks at you, Het, and she says, "And I assume you'd be wanting your pork uncooked, sir." And she bows to you.
Yes. Any meat uncooked.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do not have beef available. Only pork.
Pork will do fine. Do you have anything in the way of whiskey instead of this ale?
We do have a whiskey. It's not very good, but it is serviceable. It's not the greatest.
Whiskey is good.
So
I'll take a mug of the greatest whiskey you have.
Indeed, sir. And
What is your name, lady?
my name. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. I gotta read her name. Where's that? My name is Lucieth. I own this establishment. It's not much, but it keeps me honest. So Lucieth, Laciath.
Excellent.
Nope, I just
Well, thank you, ma'am.
sounded.
Well, thank you. And what would everyone else like?
Can I just
I'll
ask?
have what he's having, but with less raw.
Less raw. So roasted pork for the master at half elf.
Does-
Two.
Thank you.
2
Oh,
roasted
when
pork.
I'm asking, I'd like to know if the vegetable stew has mushrooms, please.
Indeed, it does.
Oh, I'll have one of those then.
All right. So she then is that whiskey for all?
Yes, please.
Do you have?
Water for me.
Yes. Do you sell that nice coffee stuff like I get?
Unfortunately, we don't have coffee in Paham. We're not a very rich town, but we do our best.
Right. Well, I'll just go with water as well then, please.
So 2 whiskeys, 2 waters. Right. So she toddles off and heads off to prepare your guys' meals. And there we'll take a 5-minute break, 9 o'clock. So we'll hold it there at the meal eating planning stage. We'll take 5 minutes.
Speaking of meal eating,
Grab something to eat, grab a drink,
Have a
drain your
break.
bladder, whatever you want to do. And we'll be right back. I'm just going to grab a drink as well.
Sweet, me too. I shall be back.
I'll be back. And chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I've seen a few people pop in and out. Podrick, how you doing, buddy? Appreciate you stopping by, man. As I said, the spam's coming up in the chat there, which is probably going a little bit too frequently, so I might change that. But generally, while we're playing, we're not really talking to the chat for obvious reasons. We are obviously trying to concentrate on the game and everything else. So we do stop about 9 o'clock every night and have a quick break so I can check with the chat. And thank you guys for stopping by. Obviously, again, if you're not following, hit that follow button. If you're not subbed and you want to sub, you want to keep supporting the channel, Twitch Prime, you can sub for free, or you can sub for $5 a month. Either way, I'm good with either. All that money goes back into the stream. Helps me buy minis, helps me buy bits and pieces to keep the stream going, and not just the D&D stream. We've got the gaming stream as well. We do game 5 nights a week outside of the D&D stream. We do D&D every second Sunday, so tell your friends, tell your family, come and check it out. Come hang out with the nerds. Have some fun. Yeah, so I'll be right back. I'm just going to go grab a drink, and we're getting back into it.
Take my life from me and bury me in blame. Cover all your lies and leave them in my name. There's nothing left to lose. You took it all away, and now I'm staring through these dead and weary eyes. The streets will turn red, and now you will know what come for you. My kingdom will come, take you one by one. My kingdom will come, take you one by one. There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. One by one, my kingdom will come. My kingdom come, my kingdom, my kingdom come, my kingdom. Hate's the perfect fuel, revenge becomes the flame. Light your world ablaze and do it without shame. There's nothing left to lose. I took it all away, and now I'm staring in your dead and weary eyes. The streets will turn red, and now you will know what come for you. My kingdom will come, take you one by one. My kingdom will come, take you one by one. There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. One by one, my kingdom will come. Does it kill you to lie awake and feel sleepless at night? Does it kill you to lie awake and feel sleepless at night? At night, I know you're praying. I know you're praying. And now you will know what come for you. My kingdom will come, take you one by one. My kingdom will come, take you one by one. There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. One by one, my kingdom will come. There's nowhere to run. One by one, my kingdom will come.
Hey.
I'm back. Hey, we're back. Alrighty then.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, pardon me. Sound effects for the end.
Barney?
Barney? Yeah, no, not Barney.
No, Barney. You know, the guy from Simpsons who
Oh,
burps
yeah.
all the time.
Barney, right. Isn't that quiet?
Ugh,
Turn that quiet tavern down till it is a quiet tavern.
it's tough tonight. I got trouble with Hit's voice because I'm suffering that little bit of
Oh,
a
the
sore
cold,
throat.
yeah.
Every time I try to do the voice, I've had to switch to mute and hack my lungs out.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
no.
don't stress. Don't strain too much, dude. If you can't do it, don't stress out. I hate for you to
it's
ruin
not,
your
it's not
voice.
I can't do it. It's just funny as hell.
Right, so we will get back into it. Everyone back? Alessandros is here. Aslan, are you back yet? No? Nope. So we'll
Not yet.
wait for Aslan to come back.
I think I might need to turn the heat pump on to get a bit chilly.
I'm assuming Gillian has just fallen asleep again.
Sleep through.
Slept through, yeah.
He's sitting with us. He's hanging with us.
Yeah. I thought we'll bring him with us. I mean, I can sort of half
ma-
play. I can
makes
half
no
play
sense.
player's character if it really comes down to it. So I've got I know his backstory. So.
If we accidentally kill him, it's...
Well, this thing I
That
was just
happened.
talking to Annie about it, and I thought, well, if this happens again, where he sort of said he's going to be here, and then just happens to sleep through it again, I might have to have a talk to him and say, look, probably not a good idea. 2:30 in the mornings, that's hard to sort of stay up or go to sleep and try and wake up at 2:30 in the morning. So it might be it might
absolutely.
be too much of a stretch for him. So
It's tough.
I mean, I knew it was going to be tough on Aslan being in the UK. And
What time is it there in the
he's
UK?
12 hours behind us, so actually no, they're 11 hours behind us at the moment. So it'd be when we start, it's 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, it's not too
so that-
bad, but
some-
yeah,
yeah.
you got work.
Yeah, I mean it's Sunday over there for them as well. So, but I think
Right,
Aslan works every second Sunday, so I think it kind of just sort of worked out. Sort of worked out quite well. Neon, you back yet? Says he's playing StarCraft.
Bet he's muted himself.
No, he's not muted. Well, he might be. I hope his microphone's not muted.
I did it before. I went to say something and realised I was mute. Because it was one of those moments where I went, oh, that's something funny to say. I said it, and then everyone carried on talking. I was like, hey, and I went, oh, I'm mute. And so I didn't repeat it. I was like, fuck it, can't be bothered.
That always happens.
He's back.
It sure does.
Hello.
Here he is. Right. And we'll get back into it. So I forgot the lady forgot to ask Gillian what he wanted, but we'll just assume because that Gillian was ordered the same as you guys. So you got pork as well, and
He
whiskey.
didn't like whiskey much the last time.
No, so it'll probably just
It
be
was
ale.
after rum.
Rum, yeah, but there'll be no rum. So he'll probably take the whiskey, because he'll take the whiskey. He's not a fan of
He'll
it.
do what he's damn well told.
He's not a fan of it, but because there's no other hard liquor available, he'll accept the whiskey. So the scythe comes back, and she brings your meals. So
Sorry, as we were waiting, he would like to speak to Alessandros.
Go hard.
Just, I don't know, seated around the table. Everyone would probably hear anyway, but...
yep.
Ellie, just wondering, me being a Dragonborn, I'm kind of the odd one out here, but you seem to be getting some odd looks from people lately. Both at the Arcanus Potterum and then here at Paradym. I'm just wondering, is your race normally considered ugly? I'll go with that.
Awesome. Respond.
I choke on my whiskey.
Your drinks haven't arrived yet. This was before.
I assume, of course, you are a human. I don't know any better, but... I mean, to me, every one of you are ugly, but just the way people are looking at you.
Yeah, it must be the genes and all that. I must look.
I'm terribly sorry. Somewhere I've met a man who made masks. If you want, we can acquire a mask.
I'm good.
It's good that you have come to grips with that, then.
Right.
That is all.
That is all. That is all. Okay, so the scythe returns with your meals and your whiskey. She passes it round. All the goo. Yeah, I typed that wrong. So yeah, she passes around the whiskey and your meals. You get your nice big chunk of raw pork, no vegetables. You get the impression that the scythe has dealt with Dragonborn before. The rest of you get your meals. Namaris, you get your vegetable stew, and there is a lot of mushrooms in there. And they're not even cut up; they're just big mushrooms.
Yeah. I just
It's
look
probably
at
more.
all of
It's probably more mushroom than anything else.
I look at Hit's plate and go, if there was mushrooms on that, I would have eaten them for you. But
and yeah, Gillian orders the same, so he gets
Excellent,
his as
no
well.
hassle.
You notice Gillian sort of chugs back half the tankard of whiskey almost straight away, like just guzzles it before he even starts eating, and burps, and just tucks into his food. He's not really saying too much. Been pretty quiet, even the whole trip to the Arcanus before he travelled. He's still he keeps shooting the odd glance to you, Aslan.
Yeah, it's still shitty over the pipe, isn't he?
Yeah, he seems almost like a brooding child a little bit. I mean, you all can tell that he's a lot younger than the rest of you. Like it's obvious that he's younger, and it's kind of he's just sort of almost like that brooding teenager, just sulking a little bit.
I just poke out.
Does he
Ellie
have a
and
long fringe?
No, he's not Nemo.
I just look at Ellie and I poke her in the side and whisper, if he carries on like that, I might just have to knock him out.
I assume that I see this.
Yeah, everyone's see you. He's shooting you some daggers from time to time. He's still
just
unsure whether you
direct.
actually like pranked him or whether Het was telling the truth. Like, even though Het's apologized like multiple times, he's still sort of like on that verge of just shooting those daggers at you every now and again.
I just look directly back into his daggers, unblinking, and drink the entire whiskey.
Roll intimidation check with advantage because he's young and yeah, you've definitely got more experience in drinking and probably and in battle, I would imagine. So
13.
13. Ooh. Yeah, he stares back at you. He doesn't seem intimidated by you, but you can tell that he's acknowledged that you've acknowledged him, kind of thing. It's a bit of almost like a bit of a Mexican standoff. Like he's not doesn't look like he's overly intimidated by the 1,000-yard stare. But you get the impression that he's being a kid, basically. You get the impression he'll probably settle down in a few days, maybe if you talk to him. I mean, you've had enough experience with young soldiers and other young people in your travels to sort of get where he's coming from. And you sort of
I
shoot.
just make a slight motion with my face, just sort of like, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like slight respect.
And
Just turn back to the group.
yeah, and Het, you notice this as well because you're all at the table, so you notice the exchange, and that pang of guilt rolls over you again.
Het thinks, as I'm slamming the drink, he doesn't realize that's a intimidation thing. Het thinks, oh, okay, all right then, and slams his drink as well, staring Aslan straight in the eyes.
Both of you make a Constitution saving throw. Actually, I'll make one for Gillian as well. Oh, you did right.
Het gets a 5.
5. Yeah, you
Get a 12.
Uh-oh.
you 12. So you know it was a DC 10, so it was like it wasn't going to be a hard one. But yeah, Het, you just slam that drink back, and you know how you sometimes when you chug back like a big glass of whiskey, you get that almost that large gulp of liquid.
It's a god awful whiskey too.
Yeah, and it is. It's not nice. It's serviceable. It doesn't really taste overly great, but it definitely does the job. It almost, I'd say, borderline kerosene kind of whiskey. It's not really great. But you get that big sort of gulp. Yeah, exactly. That big sort of gulp in your throat, and it's kind of hard to swallow that sort of last bit. And
Oh, it feels like the time I swallowed that turkey in one hit.
and you almost get a little bit of backwash come up a little bit, sort of get that sort of half throw up kind of into the back of your throat kind of thing. But yeah, and Gillian sort of sees this and has a bit of a chuckle to himself, and he seems to settle down a little bit after that, and sort of again turns towards you, Aslan. No more daggers, and kind of gives you a nod of half pie respect as well.
So, I think
I-
some of us might need another drink now.
I'd look at
So,
Ellie and go,
yeah.
must be a boy thing.
By this time, you're looking probably mid-afternoon. By the time you've sort of gotten here and sat down and had a meal, you've had a drink, you're looking at a second drink, I'd say probably 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Well, they did say it was going to take roughly around about a day if we walked to this
If you
place,
walk,
and
yeah.
if we take horses, 8 hours-ish. Is it worth heading now, or shall we wait till the next tomorrow morn?
That depends. Do we want to try and potentially kill a dragon at night or in daylight?
I'd rather do it
Right.
in daylight, to be honest.
Yes, my lack of vision would also agree.
And
Yes,
Gillian pipes
right.
up this time and says, well, I tend to agree. I think that a daytime incursion would be best suited. I believe the keep is situated in a open area on the border of a forest, and I don't fancy trying to navigate possibly a forest or even open ground with marshes and that during evening hours. I have dark vision. I don't know about the rest of you. I mean, but it is, even with dark vision, it's not an easy thing to navigate a marshy sort of boggy land in the nighttime hours.
I look at him with one eyebrow raised, and I'm somewhat surprised.
Yeah, we see you, Ashra. You haven't met. This is the first time you've really spoken to him. So yeah, he seems relatively knowledgeable about terrain, and like he's obviously studied the map as well. And yeah, he's definitely he gives you that impression he definitely has a knowledge of tracking and terrain and things like that. So
I agree with the rest of the
That's
party,
it.
whatever they decide.
Settled then.
so it's
So what, we're leaving? Okay.
So you're going to spend the evening?
If we're gonna spend the evening, we should make sure we've got some horses, so it's only half a day. Otherwise, we should set off now and camp halfway.
Agreed.
I can do that as well.
So
Let's see what
yeah.
these horses cost us, and then decide if it's worth the walk and camp, because that's pretty much what I was thinking as.
Yeah.
We don't want to spend a ton of money if we don't really have to waste it.
So you want to finish your meals and your drinks and head out and try and procure the horses now, or do you want to do that in the morning as well?
Probably
I'll
best
have a
to
look
do
for
it in the
horses
morning.
now.
Well, you got plenty. You got time. It's mid-afternoon. You got time.
I
Right,
think
horses
yeah.
it is.
I mean, you're drinking water. You're fine.
I'm bouncing all over the place, mate.
That water's some good
Guess
stuff.
if we're looking for horses now, I should knock back the rest of this whiskey.
Yep. So second one knocked back. Anyone who's slugging back the whiskey, roll another Constitution saving throw.
It did not take a stick in whiskey.
I'm just,
Oh, well, that's my good roll of the day. 21.
21. Yeah, you got no worries at all. It tastes disgusting, but you slam it back and just no one would even know that it's probably the worst tasting whiskey you've ever had. not even a twitch of the eye. Just slam it back, cup down on the thing, and yeah, and you
Up and ready.
head out and start towards the stables, which you have no idea where the hell it is, so you might have to stop and ask someone.
Well, as we get outside, I'll have a look around and see if I can see.
Roll a perception check for me.
Hit will also be looking.
That is an 8.
Anyone looking for city guard or someone that they might be on to ask, just roll general perception.
I'm going back inside and ask the owner.
You cut out trash.
Going back inside and ask the owner if they know.
Okay, so you ask Lysiath, and she says, "Yeah, the stables would be at the north end of Paham, towards the north end of town. It should only take you about 35 minutes to walk there from here." And she gives you general directions.
Yeah, I step outside and see how the others fare.
So, what was everyone's perception?
Mine was an 8.
An 8, a 15 from you, Nemaris, and hit.
Hit rolled low, but passive 12.
Passive, yeah. So if you roll under your passives, give me your passives, guys. I've got your passives here.
11.
So 11 for you, and okay. So, and I'll roll for Gillian. He got a 16. So yeah, I mean, you guys noticed there's a few city with a collective roll. I mean, these guard around that you can ask, and asking, they all tell you the same thing, that they just point you off towards the north end of town and say, well, if you want to looking for horses, this is the main stables at the north end of town. Nemaris, you present the writ that you were given from Britain, and the guardsman there, he recognises the Valon City seal, and he actually recognises your rank because you're still wearing your Valon City Guard cloak, and that's a sign of your rank. And he comes to attention at the moment you approach him, and you give him the writ, and he says, well, you won't get them for free, but by presenting this writ at the stables, you'll most certainly get a discount on rental of horses for as long as you need them.
Thank you, soldier. Stand easy.
And he sort of relaxes and again nods, and with absolute respect, he's one of those. He's a career soldier. He's probably never going to make rank, so he's just got absolute respect for anyone above his station, because he's probably never ever going to get there. Right, so you guys head north through town. Again, you notice that it's not a rich town. There's not very many fancy buildings in town.
Takes in the area, wants to know. I want to see what type of people, races are around.
Mixed human, orc, a few elves and half elves. You don't see many halflings in this town. You've seen a 2 or 3 dwarves sort of floating around as well, but definitely a lot
Floating
more
dwarves,
humans.
eh?
Yeah, floating dwarves, magical ones.
They need to float 'cause they're really short.
But yeah, so mainly humans, a lot more humans than anything else. And obviously you find humans ugly, so it's a very ugly town to you.
Excellent.
The guild house, you notice as you come back past the guild house, it's a 2-storied half-timbered building with a reinforced wooden door. It is shared by, like Enwell said, it's shared by a number of guilds. The headmaster here, you've heard, is a female dwarf, and her name is Thala Samrador. Thalla, Sam Red Or, OR. And she is the main representative. She basically represents all 3 guilds in this particular town. So the guild house, as you know, and you were told, has several rooms available. Basic menu with ale and other hard liquors if requested. And there, obviously, now you can procure bits and pieces there, which you did already. So that is that there. And as you walk now towards the northern part of town, you walk through the market district. Upon walking through the market district, you notice there's a few basic stalls. There looks like a small alchemy store. Looks like just a basic general goods stall. There's a wine seller, someone selling wine. There's a butcher out there selling fresh meats as well. You didn't notice any kind of blacksmith though in the market section, so it wasn't something you sort of caught your eye as you came through, and you find that a little bit strange not to find a blacksmith even in a town this size.
It would have scanned the fresh meat.
It's range. Roll perception for me, just quickly.
Oh, Percepticon. 12.
12. It's a range of different meats. It looks like from where you are, and from actually roll with an advantage because of your smell. Your sense of smell would pick up on the meat probably more than your sight.
That's 17 then.
17. So while you can't really determine what it is from the look, your sense of smell, you sort of give it a bit of a sniff in the ear and you think, ooh, beef, definitely pork, and something else you're not quite sure of. Possibly maybe warg or bear or large cat. It's not one that you're completely familiar with, but it's different.
If I'm not familiar, I would go and purchase that not familiar meat.
So you want to go over to the stall?
Correct.
So you head over towards the butcher, and now I got to find where my butcher is.
I follow.
Yes, butcher. Tell me, you, in the stall, you own the stall.
yeah,
What is that strange-smelling meat?
As you approach the stall, you notice a human, male human. He's short and round. He's relatively overweight. Got a big pot belly, with cropped, sort of matted red hair, like real ginger, freckles, all the rest of it. And the only thing that's unusual is he has grey eyes, very sort of pale grey eyes. That kind of stands out with his matted sort of red hair. He wears travel-stained clothing, and he's got a pewter amulet around his neck. It's almost like an international sign of the butcher. It looks like a carving knife crossed with almost like a hook. And he turns to you and sort of, well, greetings. My name's Arwind, and I would like to. Would you like to sample some of my meat here? It's the best quality you'll find.
I want to sample your meat. I want to know what that. I want to know what the smell is. That strange meat.
The strange meat. We've got beef. We've got pork, and we do have this. This is warg. We do get a few wargs around here in the forests, and
yes, is it cured meat?
Oh no, it's raw. We don't cure it. We lightly salt it so it doesn't go off, and
excellent. Package that. How much would that cost me?
How much would you like, sir?
Enough for 2 days' rations.
Cheers, Jim. Enough for 2 days' rations, or I can do you that for about, let's say, 1 gold piece. And I'll throw in an extra day's ration, so it'll be 3 days' rations for a gold piece.
3 days. Excellent. Done.
Thank you very much, sir.
I poke my head in and ask quickly, do you have a dragon?
Dragon? He sort of turns around and looks behind you and goes, "You sure?"
I give him a grin.
And he sort of goes, "Ha ha ha! Oh, you're a crack up, sir. Thank you for your custom." And goes back to hacking away at a big chunk of leg with his big giant cleaver. You want to say anything else?
No, it is done.
It is done.
Look at him disappointed.
Yeah, you don't see.
The butcher doesn't have any dragon.
No dragon meat. It's a poor town. They can't afford to slay a dragon. Not that there's many dragons around to slay. Indigrim, what's up?
Hit asks, does he wrap the meat in anything?
He wrapped it up in a brown paper for you, like you would at a butcher. Tied it up with
He
a bit
would
of
like
string.
to purchase some more brown paper for the other meat he's been drying and curing.
Wait, they still like skewered on your bone.
Unwind just turns around and says, no, you can just have it. I got this giant stack of it here. You can have it, sir. It's fine." And he gives you, let's say, 5 good-sized sheets, probably, I'd say 1/2 meter by 1/2 meter square sheets of this brown paper, and just gives you 5 sheets.
Excellent. Thank you, kind sir.
Thank you.
Sorry
you for
about
your
the hair color.
hair color. You don't have any hair, sir.
No, your hair color.
What about it? I can't actually see it, so I'm not even sure what color it is.
Is that not a bad thing for you humans?
What's that, sir?
Having red hair.
Is
Oh,
that
yeah,
what
that's-
color it is? And he's not exactly the smartest. He's sort of looking around trying to see his own hair color. He's probably never seen a mirror before in his life. So,
Do I hear?
well, it depends. Did you go with them to
I
the
was
butcher,
just behind him.
Well, you would have heard it. He hasn't tried to say it quietly.
So I kind of reach out and just clip him upside the head and go, "Oi!"
So you
Sorry,
get a
it
clip
didn't
upside the
realise
head.
you were- It didn't realize you were one of them. You were much, much stout compared to that fella.
Right.
And he's looking at you sort of a little bit confused. He's not entirely sure what you're actually getting at. He's probably never seen the color of his own hair.
I look at him and go, "See, my hair is the same color as yours."
Oh right. Well, that's it. That's a great thing then, because your hair looks fantastic.
Yours really doesn't. Sorry, mate.
Oh, he at that moment you just deflated him completely. He looks down and just you see his shoulders drop and he sort of it just completely deflated. It's like,
Head flicks him 5 silver on top of what he already paid him.
oh really? He goes, oh well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Kirsten. Come back anytime.
I just kind of lean over and go, "But there's this funny little thing called a soapstone. If you use it with some water, it'll bring that hair up.
Why, thank you. I'll take that into advisement. Thank you,
I
lass.
just wave and walk away.
Oh, wow. So,
What?
yeah, awesome. So you've got 3 days worth of warg meat, raw warg meat.
I sure do.
It's
Yep, already recorded. Phil.
lightly salted. So it'll probably last just the 3 days. So you
I use one for today as we walk.
Okie dokie, no worries. Mark that down. You head towards the stables, and you find the stable. It's not a big stable. It's probably maybe half dozen horses at most. They're not the city guard here is not exactly a city guard. It's like more like a town watch. Again, very basic. They don't have a lot of horses. You get to the stables and you right, here we go. You get to the stables and you come across there's a female human soldier sort of leaning against the door. Matted black hair, narrow hazel eyes, wears leather armor and wields a two-pronged felchured fork.
Would I notice whether or not she's the same rank as me?
Yeah, well, it's just she's just a city guard. She's got no rank. She's probably been assigned to the stables most of her time in the city guard. Hence the reason she's just sort of sitting on a barrel, sort of leaning against the front. Sort of the fork is like almost like a spear, but it's a two-pronged fork. It's sort of leaning up against behind a shield. So they've got a shield and a spear in one hand.
All right, I go up to her and say, "Oh, hello there. How's your day going?"
Oh, greetings. What brings you to Paham?
We're actually on a bit of a quest, and I'd like to procure some horses if I.
And do you present the writ?
Yes.
You hand over the writ, and she sort of reaches over, grabs one hand, sort of leans back in, reads it, and she goes, "Ah, all right. Well, we don't have many horses, really. We can. How many do you need, and for how long?"
I'd say probably one. Well, what do you reckon,
Just
guys?
cut
How
across.
many horses do you reckon?
5 for like a day or two.
Five. Well, that's pretty much all our horses. Well, we don't really use them that. We don't use them that often, to be fair. Well, all right. Because you got the rate, we normally charge them out for 25 gold each for a day. Because you got the rate, and only going to be like reckon you're only going to be a day or two, maybe 3, 4,
Maybe less.
maybe less. How about we go? We go 35 gold for the lot for 3 days.
I
Do we
look
have
at-
that?
What do you think?
I look at Ali and go, "Do we have that in the fund?"
Ali thinks to herself, "Yeah, possibly."
Do you
Or
think it'd be ever
did
so
we
nice
just
as
start
to
walking now?
pay the woman?
Save the money, go on foot.
Yeah.
35 gold for 5 horses for 3 days is a fucking bargain, guys.
I was just thinking
It's a
that.
good bargain, but do we want to use the money?
What's
for
the thing?
that? That's the question.
That's the thing. I mean, it's you know it's probably going to be
These are very temporary horses.
You know it's
Probably
going to be at most. It's probably going to be between 16 and 18 hour on foot. By horseback, you could probably do it. By horseback, you could probably do it in 7 or 8 at a good pace.
I also say quietly to the team where we're going. Horses might not come back.
Oh,
That's a
right.
point.
And we
I
don't
think
want to have to pay. That's a good point.
I'm not past doing a good old march and getting our way there fairly fit.
Cool. I think we're all in agreement on this then.
I look at
Sorry.
Damaris and say, "You can
Oh,
piggyback me, can't you?"
I'll throw you over my shoulder and give me a bit of exercise that I've been missing out on the past couple of days.
So you're going to throw Alexandros over your shoulder.
Yep.
Carry her. Roll a strength check. Alexandros, if you let her, do you let her pick you up?
Yeah, all right. We'll
Okay.
see.
Roll it with advantage.
Piggyback.
15.
15? Yeah, you got no problem picking her up. I mean, Alexandros is young as well, and she's quite slight, so she's not exactly the heaviest. So you quite happily pick her up, sling her over your shoulder, and set off at quite a brisk pace. Do the rest of you follow?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
She's
Okay,
gone.
now
Well,
we're
she's
gonna
off.
I just say to the stable master, it's just like, doesn't look like we're using these today.
But
So-
all right then. Well, like I said, if you do need them, they're here. We don't use them very often, I tell you.
Just call out thank you as I sort of jog
All
to
right,
catch
goodbye.
up.
And she sort of waves goodbye.
Head follows behind Azalin as well.
No worries. And Gillian brings up the rear. He just sort of, he's a little bit preoccupied, but he brings up the rear and follows as well. So, like I said, it's going to take, you sort of sit out, again, you decided to sit out in the evening. It's like it was getting on like 5 o'clock.
But we can get there real quick.
So you probably, in 5 hours, you could probably by foot make it probably halfway across the grasslands, because it's as you leave the city, you've got there's a few bushes and that around the town, around the village. I can't remember what city, it's a town. Around the township of Paham, there's like a few bushes and trees, and as you break that sort of initial tree line, it's open grasslands. And actually, Aslan, roll a survival check for me with advantage.
Rolling. 14.
14. Because you know these land, you don't know the lands well, but you from generally around this area, so you've got a fair idea of the hazards and like the pitfalls and boggy marshes and things like that. So I would say you're going to cut your travel down probably by 2 or 3 hours. So on your first night, you could probably make it to the edge of the Weirwood Forest, and if you were to travel sort of 5 or 6 hours at a solid pace, because of your knowledge of the area, you can take the path of least resistance. So you could probably drop 2 hours off your travel time in that first night and get a little bit further than you normally would. So by sort of 10, I'd say 10, 11 o'clock, knocking on midnight, you'd sort of breach the edge of the Weirwood Forest, which, if you look at them, if you guys can see the map, is you're probably coming up to right on the edge here. So the Weirwood Forest takes up the right-hand side, sort of eastern side of the region there, and the keep is in the clearing to the north. You could traverse the tree line and not actually go through the forest, or you go straight through the forest, up to you. But you pretty much got a straight shot to the keep. And if you traverse, sort of circumnavigate the forest and stay on the edge of the tree line. But that's probably as far as you could get in that first night before you'd probably need to sleep to get your 8 hours.
I think at this point we should probably make camp just round this corner of the tree line. Don't want to be spotted by any scouting dragon.
Yes,
And we'll
good
make our
call.
way
We want to
through
just
the edge of the trees.
keep ourselves hidden on the edge of the tree line.
Cool. Can everyone roll a perception check for me, please? Those without dark vision at disadvantage.
12.
And Gillian gets a 13. So
4.
even with your passives, yeah, you guys probably wouldn't notice it. Even with a 12, you hear it more than you do. You don't see anything, but you hear that slight, just off in the distance. It's not close, but you sort of hear the sort of flapping of wings, and it's right off in the northern distance. You don't see anything. It's not a bright moonlit night. It's quite dark, so you don't see anything in the horizon, but you definitely hear that beating of rather large wings. I mean, not like huge, but definitely bigger than any bird that you've ever heard.
Don't know if it's
I
a good
think we're
idea
in the
to light a
right
fire
place.
tonight then.
Maybe not. Maybe we should stick to the dark.
Yeah, I mean, Aslan, you'd know, and most of you know if you're looking at your map, Aslan, because you've got dark vision, so you're looking at your map, you'd know that you're still probably, from where you are now, probably a good 3 or 4 hour journey, maybe longer. Probably closer to 6. Sorry, 6 or 7 hours out from the keep still, from the outer borders of the keep. So it's like that. It's right off in the distance. So a fire you'd probably still be okay with, as long as it
It's a
wasn't a
small
large fire.
Keep it tucked under the trees, though. We don't wanna
And
send too
just
much
a
of
quick
signal to the
quick
scouts.
question to the members of the party: does anyone have a tent by any chance?
No.
No one has a tent still. So
What about that town? I forgot.
so no one has tents. So you're sleeping outdoors. Lucky it's not raining. So you're gonna be sleeping outdoors. I mean, you could, if you wanted to make survival checks, you could do a survival check to see if you could build a makeshift shelter
Oh,
for the
that.
evening.
15.
15.
Good idea. I will assist.
And
No.
Gillian, even with his advantage, failed miserably, so he's no use to you. So with a 15, yeah, Aslan, I mean, you've spent time around the area, so you'd got a fair idea where things are, like what to look for and stuff, and you've had a time out in the forest and without tent and having to fend for yourself. So you've got a fair idea how to build a shelter. It'd probably take you about an hour to get enough bits and pieces together to throw up just a makeshift sort of shelter between 2 trees, just to get enough cover in case if it started to rain during the night. If it was like stormy, you'd probably suffer a bit, but light rain, light winds, you'd definitely be okay.
Hit volunteers to take the first watch.
I'll stay with Head.
And obviously with that check too, you get a small fire going, enough to sort of light the campsite, and that's pretty much it.
Jolly good.
So first watch, Hit and Alessandros. And no one wants to stay up. Others. Gillian's quite happy to go to sleep. He's still he's still tired from the day before, even though he
I
had a
don't mind
huge sleep.
staying up with. I don't mind staying up, but if there's going to be 2 up, then
There's
2
already 2
down,
up, yeah.
I'll go have a snooze.
So
Don't worry, me and Ellie got it covered.
Aslan, Gillian, and Nemaris, you take your sleep, and the boy and the girl stay up. The Dragonborn and the rogue decide to stay up. Roll perception for your watch. Both at disadvantage because neither one of you have dark vision.
All right.
I rolled a 16.
with disadvantage. Holy crap.
Well, that's straight 16 on the die, so
Yeah, you got to roll 2 and take the lowest. But every time you roll with disadvantage, you roll 2 d20s
13.
and take the lowest. So 13. And what was yours?
It's a 6.
Yeah, you don't notice anything hit.
Low rolling tonight.
Yeah, even with a 13, your watch goes by. You hear that those wings again throughout your watch. Again, off in the distance. That never really gets too close. General animal noises throughout the night. You hear what you would assume to be wolves sort of howling in the night, and the hoots of owls and things like that. But that beating of wings you hear 2 or 3 times sort of during your watch. But again, it doesn't ever get too close. It's sort of, you hear it sort of comes close and then it sort of travels off to the distance, almost like something circling and sort of coming back, and does that 2 or 3 times. Apart from that, your watch goes unhindered. And no.
During the watch, Hit just wants to move aside from Alessandros, excuse himself for a minute. Says, "Excuse me, Ellie, I'm just going to have a moment just to wander around the camp. I won't leave your sight." And he wanders off on his own just a bit.
Yep.
And while he's on his own, for the first time in a long time, pulls the necklace out from within his leather pouch. So looks about and makes sure no one's watching.
Yep.
Holds it up and says, just to himself, not out loud or anything, just a small prayer, basically, to the lady of the thatch, the steel woman.
Yep.
And just says, "Please allow this to go right for us. Allow me to show what we can do." And then he pops the necklace back and then heads back to the camp.
No problem.
Ellie, good. How's things? Notice anything?
no, nothing at all.
Yes, the perimeter of camp was pretty quiet as well. Seems like, other than the distant beating of wings, that is about all we get.
Yep, that was pretty much it.
Well, no death for us tonight.
So as your watch comes to an end, who was taking next watch?
I will.
No.
So we'll let Gillian sleep. So Aslan and Neymaris, you get woken for your watch, and Alessandros and Hit, you bed down for the evening.
Easy
Oops,
done.
excuse
Head
me.
goes to sleep just like that.
Alessandros, as you drift off to sleep, where are you in my list of people? Here you are. As you drift off to sleep, you sort of, you're not quite asleep. You're sort of on that verge of sort of drifting off, and you're quite relaxed, and then all of a sudden a memory sort of just flashes into your mind. You remember the young girl that startled you while you were camping not far from Beaufort. You remember being frightened. You remember her drawing her bow. Then it flashes again, and you're standing there staring down at her corpse, throat slashed, the smell of copper in the air, the smell of blood, and it flashes again, and you see yourself walking into Beaufort. Day-to-day chores, friendly faces, the smiles. It felt good, but it felt unnatural. And then it flashes again, and it's gone. And you then drift off to sleep, although a very restless sleep for the rest of the night. Right, back to you guys in the camp. Perception checks, please. Aslan with advantage, Neymaris with disadvantage.
17.
9.
So, Neymaris, you're preoccupied. You're looking around for mushrooms, and you can't see any. There's just nothing around the general vicinity of the campfire. Aslan, you with your dark vision and your half elven hearing, you hear those wings, and you sort of get up and walk to the edge of the firelight and sort of stare off to the north, and as the cloud breaks and sort of the moon peeks through, you get a glimpse of, in the distance, it's not big because it is quite a fair way, but you see that shadow, something big, not really big, but it's definitely bigger than a bird, and you again hear those wings, and you see the shadow sort of fly across the moonlight and across the cloud and sort of circle, and then circle downwards towards the keep.
Do I catch a glimpse of the colour?
At this distance and at night, as far as you can tell, it's black. But again, if it was blue, it would look black at this time of night as well. You're still uncertain of its colour. Pretty much, you've seen what most people have seen. What people have Emil had described to you at the guild hall, that people have seen the worm flying around the keep at night, and generally only at night. It's never been seen during the day.
I wander back to the centre of camp, say to Nemaris, well, it's definitely a dragon.
Right. Did you find any mushrooms?
Oh, I love
I
it.
look at her, funny.
Because I can't
No.
hear.
Oh, awesome.
I do a look around for mushrooms.
With that perception and your dark vision, you do spy a couple of small mushrooms sort of off to the eastern side of the campsite. I mean, they're not great looking mushrooms. They're pretty small. But I mean, if you
I
want
don't
to,
pick them, but I point them out to Mars.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So good.
the rest of your watch goes uneventful and unheated. You all get your 8 hours rest for the evening. You wake as sun starts to come up. Around 7:30, the sun breaks and the birds start in the forest. Daybreak. Again, there's a little bit of cloud hanging around, but it's a reasonably fine day. Nothing. There's no. You can see sort of scattered rain clouds to very, very north of Riley, up to where you would know to be the Falcon Hills, which is the sort of mountain range in the northern end of the Riley area, which is across the Riley River. But yeah, otherwise it is a bright, reasonably sunshiny day.
Would you say it's a bright, sunshiny day?
I would say it was a bright, sunshiny day.
Excellent.
I
All right,
think
so what's the plan, Ez?
Well, I did sort of see it in the distance last night.
It came closer,
flown
did it?
back. No, it stayed mostly around its keep. It looked to have flown back in before the end of the night.
And
Don't know
Gillian
if
sort
it's
of
asleep or
Gillian sort of pipes up as well and says, it's probably staying close to the keep. Most likely it has ample food supply. I would say probably to the northeast. Again, more grasslands, edge of the forest. There'd be plenty of animals, wargs, pigs, bear. Definitely a decent food source for a growing dragon, I would believe. So that's probably why it doesn't venture far from the keep. And if anything, I would hazard a guess that the worm has made its lair inside the keep somewhere dark.
I would agree with the lair thing.
Yeah, definitely somewhere dark and out of prying eyes. It also would not surprise me if the dragon has already possibly enslaved some form of denizen to be a daytime protector, gathering gold and loot. Who knows? Dragons love their gold.
I hadn't thought about that.
Me either. Seems like if it's made its lair here, I feel like we are at a disadvantage as we are entering into a place it knows well, and a place we don't. I suggest Ellie, maybe use some of your skills. I guess all of you, Ellie, as a Gillian more so than myself, to track or maybe scout the area first before we go running in headlong.
I do suggest we all get closer, follow the tree line. Stick at the edge, don't move across the open grounds just yet. See what it looks
Excellent.
like closer up.
Cool. So, yeah, we can do that. We're knocking on 10 o'clock, so we've got about half an hour to go. So, what we'll do, for the sake of the story, you guys scout the... again, you move forward. It takes you probably a good 5 or 6 hours to follow the tree line, heading northeast towards the keep. You come across a small lake. Gillian does a bit of a scout around the small lake. It's not a huge lake. You could definitely. It's very, very, very small. More like a drinking hole than a lake. He scouts around it and does indeed find dragon tracks and other animal tracks. Bear, wolf. He finds a number of blood patches in and around the watering hole, where something has definitely died, but there are no remains. He relays this information back to you guys, and says that the tracks obviously are from a dragon landing and taking off again. There's no foot traffic leading to and from the drinking hole.
Okay.
Well, by the sounds of things, this dragon prefers to stay airborne. So we're definitely better off attacking it inside the keep.
Keep it
So it can't
contained
just
and close.
fly off. Because it has a natural advantage in the sky.
Agreed.
So
Right.
from this distance, you guys, you're probably a 2 to 3 hour walk from the keep itself. And you can see the keep from here. It's on a bit of a hill, so it actually does stand out against the horizon. By this time, you're heading again back into sort of lunchtime sort of territory. So if you were to advance on the keep now, you'd reach the keep by sort of 4-ish in the afternoon. Sun goes down around 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. Sort of in the summer months, so even stretching out to sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock. So you've got, roughly, Gillian would know that you've got a reasonable amount of sunlight left, or daytime left before night falls. You could reach, definitely reach the keep in a short space of time. There's no grounds to speak of, like you can't see any walls or high walls. The keep itself looks like it has been long abandoned. It's definitely in ruin. It's not really tall anymore. It's obviously been claimed by this dragon as somewhere that humans or humanoids don't come very often. So being out of the way, right on the forest line. So if you want to continue towards the keep,
That we make our way to the keep, look for any of these potential enslaved protectors, and deal with those threats as needed before we move on the dragon.
Yes, good call.
okay. So
I'll do that and move up stealthily.
So would everyone want to move forward stealthily for 4 hours, or do you want to wait to get a little bit closer?
I'd rather wait and get a little bit closer, I think.
I'll
so-
so stealth when we get to the
Yeah.
walls.
So basically, we again, for the sake of the brevity of the story, we'll move forward. You make your way to the keep without too many you can see there's nothing much living around the keep itself. There's What is living is mainly beast and animal, and they're pretty skitterish. Obviously, they know there's a dragon in the area. They are very wary when they're sort of out.
Of course, Alessandros makes a good point, though. When we do get to, we should probably agree, when we get to a certain distance or time span, then
Yeah.
we probably should be looking at stealthing and using her skills to our advantage.
Definitely.
I do agree.
Yep. So you could probably I would say, you would definitely get to where the keep walls would have been, without having to worry about stealth too much. Once you sort of breach the initial sort of perimeter of the keep, or the old wall would have been, you probably want to start taking it easy from them. So we'll take it from there. Well, you can roll your stealth checks now. So everyone roll a stealth check. I believe anyone that's wearing mail is at disadvantage.
Disadvantage, yeah.
Yeah.
13.
13. That's not bad. Not bad.
It's a lot
18.
better than I expected that to
Yeah.
go.
Hell yeah. Especially with disadvantage. That's not too bad at all. So 18 for you, Nemaris.
So you got 18. Completely.
Alessandros, your stealth check, please.
22.
22. Of course, the stealthy rogue.
And 16 for
16
hit.
for hit. Well, the rest of you sort of as a group, and Gillian rolls a natural 18, so that's pretty good for him. So as a group, you guys are pretty stealth. I mean, even at a 13 with your armor, you're aware of your armor, so you're making sure you're sort of holding any mail that might sort of clink against concrete or against anything like that. So you're aware of your armor, so you're pretty good. As far as you know, you're pretty stealthy. So you make your way forward towards the front of the keep. You're coming in from that side. So you're coming in from the side of the keep. The front of the keep is towards the west. You can see through the old ruins and things like that. You can see what would have been almost like a roadway or a pathway that's now long overgrown, but you can still sort of see where it would have been, and it would have travelled up to the front of the keep. The old keep gates are still kind of there. The gates are no longer there. They're long rusted and fallen into ruin, but some of the stonework's still there, so you can still see where the front of the keep would be. So that's to your west, which is to your sort of the left as you're coming up. The keep itself is in real ruin. You can see where the entrance might have been. The things have fallen away. There's no windows left. Some of the plant life has started to overgrow and taken over most of the outbuildings and things like that. You don't really hear anything at this point. There's nothing. You can't hear anything moving. There's no real door or any kind of doors leading up to the side of the keep as you move around towards the front. And as you get to the front of the keep, everything's really open. Like, you can literally see into the front of the keep, and it's just ruins at this stage. How do you proceed?
Should we send Alessandros first as the stealthiest to scout ahead?
Yeah, still keep advancing, but keeping an eye out for any potential threat.
Okie dokie. So, as you move forward into the keep, this is probably what would have been almost the main hall of the keep. And it's well overgrown. There's a couple of old tables there. They've just, again, completely collapsed. It's dusty. But you do notice the one thing that stands out to you, and it's really obvious, like right at the back of this room, there's a set of double doors that just look completely out of place. They almost look like they're freshly built, almost brand new. Like, not brand new, but they're definitely out of place. It does not belong there in this place in time. The rest of the ruins, I mean, wood should not have remained. If the stonework and ironwork is all rusted away, then the woodwork should have been reclaimed as well. But there is a set of closed double doors at the back of this main hall.
Het wants to stay around about 30 to 40 feet behind Ellie at all times. At this point.
Check for traps.
So just in the immediate vicinity, because you're still standing sort of at the front of the ruin, so you're not actually inside yet. You've sort of moved into the front of the ruin, and you can clearly see those doors. So roll an investigation check for me. Add your proficiency modifier as well. So,
It will also keep checking behind the party so we do not get ambushed.
no problem.
I got 12.
12. You have a good look around the entrance where you stand, probably 10 or 15 feet. You sort of have a quick search around, and you're certain there's no traps that you can see anywhere. There's nothing mechanical of mechanical nature, nothing that you know of as a trap. So it's up, yeah. So as far as you know, nothing's trapped.
Carry on further in.
Go further in. You get further in, you get closer to the door. You definitely can see that the closed doors definitely don't belong there. You can see where the dust has been moved as the door's been opened and closed. So there's almost like a half moon in front of the doors. So it looks like the doors open outwards into the room that you're in. And you can see that half moon of dust that's been sort of moved as the doors have sort of opened out and swung backwards. So there's definitely someone has been here and been here recently. You can see in the dust leading around to your right and then out towards the ruined wall. You can see footprints, little footprints. You roll a intelligence check for me just quickly.
Nat 20.
Nat 20. You recognise the
Yes.
footprints instantly. You know them to be kobold footprints. You remember the prints you'd seen in the mining cave and the kobolds you dealt with there. So you know that there are definitely at least 3 kobolds with a nat 20. You know that there's at least 3 distinctive set of footprints coming from that doorway. And they go backwards and forwards, so they lead out and then they lead back in.
Follow the ones leading out.
The ones leading out, and all the footprints, like it's multiple tracks. But the 3 distinct sets, they lead out towards the eastern wall, and then stop at the eastern wall, and then you notice again coming back, same set of footprints coming back from the eastern wall back to the door. So essentially, it looks like whatever the kobolds have come out of the door, they've left the keep going over the eastern wall of that room, which is all in ruins and leads to the outside, and have done whatever they were doing, and then come back in using that same entrance. They haven't used the main entrance of the building.
I'll let all the others know what I find, and I recommend setting a trap.
Recommend setting a trap?
Yeah, like a pincer maneuver.
Could do. Interesting.
Get them to come to us instead of we go to them.
So by now you're looking at sort of 4:30, 5 o'clock in the mid-afternoon, early evening.
You don't want to be caught outside with that dragon.
You know you've probably got about maybe 3 hours of sunlight left before the sun goes down. And yeah, as Lan's pointed out, you don't want to be caught outside when the dragon is active. The dragon, as far as you're aware, nothing knows you're there. You haven't heard anything coming from the doorway. You haven't heard anything coming from the surrounding grounds.
Well, what do you guys reckon? Do we
I reckon
wait
we
for
should,
them?
I reckon we should go up and just see if these doors are locked.
Strangely enough, I actually agree with that.
Okie
Straight up the
dokie.
door.
I
Het
don't
is
mind
still
going first.
checking the rear, but nodding.
Yeah. Who is going to check the doors?
I will.
You will. So
I will back up, weapon ready.
Namaris, you approach the doors. You put your hands on the handles and you pull, and the doors open. and not noisily, but they sort of scrape on the stonework a little bit. They've obviously been refitted to this particular door. They're not exactly the right for the door, so they do scrape a little bit as they open. They don't squeak, so the hinges have been oiled, and it looks like it's been, they've definitely been well used. But the door's not locked. It opens up, and it opens up into probably a 50 foot by 30 foot chamber. In that chamber, you've got 4 or 5 dimly lit torches surrounding the room. You see in the center of the room 2 large dining tables with scatterings of raw meat, a few spatterings of vegetables and things like that, but mainly meat and bones. There are 2 or 3 benches surrounding those tables. It's not clean, but it's not dirty either. It's definitely being used recently. To your right, as you look in the door, you see another single doorway, which is set halfway, pretty much in the center of that right-hand wall. As you turn to your left, you see another small door towards the back of the room on the left-hand side as well, both closed. And towards the back of the room, on the right-hand side of the rear wall, you see another single door, which is also closed.
Do we see any bodies?
No bodies.
Like,
No
living bodies.
No bodies. There's no one in this room. It's empty apart from the tables and the torches. And obviously the meat. Some of the meat looks like it's rotting. Other meat looks fresh. The meat that scatters is in various states of age. The smell, I mean, is not overpowering, but it's definitely strong. The rotting meat has a very distinctive smell, and it does take you by surprise, Namaris, as you first open the door. It's the first thing you smell is that sort of foul, rotting meat smell. Het, you'd smell it as
Het
well.
enters the room as well, and has a bit of a sniff at the meat, but does not like this.
Yeah, it's a pretty pungent smell, and the meat's like
Not the fresh meat you like.
your sense of smell, you'd know it. There's a mixture of different animals here. There's wild pig, there's wolf, there's probably a bit of bear meat mixed in there. The rotting meat you're not sure of, possibly be warg.
Ellie, this tells me one thing. Someone has been eating here recently. No one leaves food unattended. Usually you finish it. Something either interrupted them while they were eating, or something ate them while they were eating. I am worried. And at the same time, he walks up to Alessandros, puts his hand on her shoulder and says, "There is no fate here, but what we make." And he casts Bardic Inspiration on her for the next 10 minutes. So,
Awesome.
Alessandros, you get a D6.
See,
Use it. You get 1. You can add it to an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw. Just a D6.
yep. So
Cool.
just mark that down. Bardic Inspiration.
Mark it down.
So do you all enter this room?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm already in
My
there, and I'm
glaive is
just
well
about
readied.
going to
So,
one of the doors.
I mean, you're all into the room, and let's say that's pretty much what you see. You've got the 3 doors that are visible. The room is dimly lit, so you can all see it's starting. The sun is not setting, but that the sky's starting to turn that real sort of orangey red, sort of pinky color right on dusk. The sun is now setting in the west. I think it sits in the west. Wherever the sun sets. In the east. No, the east is the rising sun. Okay, it sets in the west. So on the western side of the castle, you get all those colours, and the shadows are drawing out. You still don't really hear anything. There's a bit of where is my thing? My thing. I got my thing. I got the wrong one. That's it. There. So, yeah. So you can hear wind sort of feels. I mean, it being an old ruined castle or ruined keep, even in this room, the ceiling, you can see where some of it has fallen in, and there is exposed sky in places. Sort of rocks are falling down towards the walls. It's still relatively waterproof, but it's definitely you can tell you're in a ruined castle. I mean, but someone has been living here and recently.
I suggest that the team take up any positions they would want to be in
I
for
agree.
enemies walking through doors, while I make my way to the center of the room by the table.
Well, I was gonna get Hit to go to the center of the room, seeing he's the ugliest.
Hit, even though finding this amusing, is better suited for support alley. I am not a face to the dirt type of person at this point.
Well, what? Okay, so yeah,
I look at you all and I think, right, well, you guys have no strategic thing, whatever. So I'm gonna go and stand in the middle of the room for anything that's gonna come out.
Right,
It
so if you
goes
guys
to
take a quick
Does
nose at
anybody
this,
take
take a quick nose at the
stealth?
stream.
Yep.
I don't know how much of that you can actually see with the maps
no,
over.
that's good. That's good.
That's the room you're in.
Yes.
All right,
Which door
I'll
do we
take a
come in?
position.
You came through the top double doors.
Cool.
This is your door to your right. This is your left, and this one's at the back. This one's at the back of the room.
I'm gonna go and stand in between the one at the left and at the back of the room.
You're gonna stand over here.
Down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so in that area. No,
In that
just so I know roughly where you are.
I'm at the
I
top,
suggest that
the corner of Namaris.
So you're at the top corner. Sweet.
Hit will be by the double doors where we entered,
Okay, so
just to
you're
the
there.
edge, to the left side of them.
Okay, cool. So you're there. And Aslan, where were
I'm
you?
I'm taking up a position on the table.
On the
in
table?
middle.
Sweet. Okay, cool. I can move that now. Just to give you guys an idea of where you were.
Yeah, that makes a better strategy.
And when I get the motion that everyone is ready,
Right.
is everybody ready?
Hit nods.
Namaris, Alessandris, anything?
I'm just looking at him and I'm watching the door behind him and the ones to
Yeah.
my side.
Very good. I slam the base of my glaive on the table 3 times.
Right. So, bang, 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 on the top of the table, and it echoes because fairly high ceilings, and with the holes and the wind coming through, it's loud.
As he's doing that, Hit bends down with 3 of the bolts for his crossbow and dips them into the poison vial.
Roger that. A minute passes. No sound. Another minute passes. Still no sound.
Damn.
5 minutes pass. No sound.
I don't think anything is coming.
10 minutes. Still nothing.
Alright, I decide
roll us-
to try the door to my right.
So the door to your
To
right,
see if
which
it's
was the one
locked.
in the right hand wall, you try the handle and it is not locked, and it opens inwards. You find yourself staring into what looks to have been an office. There is a chair, just a single chair. It's old and dusty. There's a small desk with a few parchments and stuff strewn across it. Again, old, dusty, cobwebs, and a bookshelf, or a kind of a shelf type, more like a wall unit with a few books and scrolls.
Can I read the scrolls on the desk?
You pick up the scrolls. What languages do you speak?
Common, Goblin, Quarian, Undercommon.
It's in common, but it's basic. It's almost like a diary of sorts. It's old, and as you pick up the parchment, as you go to read it, you sort of blow the dust off, and as you go to read it, the parchment crumples in your hand. So you can't actually read what's on it. Just the paper's like really old. It's just so brittle.
Alright, well, I'll leave and have a look at one of the other doors. The one at the back
So
of the
move to
room.
the door at the far end of the room.
So we're going to go to the opposite end.
Yeah.
Who's opening that door?
I will open that door.
11 did. You turn the handle. It squeaks a bit. And it opens without too many hassles. And in this room is a large fireplace with a big cauldron hanging over it, over the fireplace. It's long, dead, and cold. Cauldron's sort of tipped to one side. Looks like it was probably a kitchen or a place of preparing food at one stage. Again, dusty, generally not in disuse and hasn't been used for a long time. The mantle was cracked and broken. A few scattered utensils. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much else in that room.
Huh. Guess I'll leave.
You'll leave?
Door.
This is rather disappointing. I expected more.
Shall we go for door number 3, guys?
Door number 3.
Yeah. Guess
The
we'll
worst
just
part
follow
of this
up on it.
is the worst part of this.
You've
Part of
used
this
your
is the
poison. It only lasts
does
for a
not
minute.
last very long.
Only-
So that is the poison used.
How long does it last? Does it last
Sorry,
a minute?
team. 1 minute.
Is it 1
Done.
minute? Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
You've lost that poison, unfortunately. So who's moving towards the door in the rear wall?
I don't mind going
I-
first again.
As you
I'll
try
take
it,
it to the second
it is locked. You try the handle and it doesn't budge.
Can I kind of ninja it off with my strength?
You want to try and shoulder charge it open? Roll a strength check for me. So D20 plus your strength,
That will
and
be
your proficiency, so add your proficiency modifier as well.
18.
18. You take half a step back and you charge. Dunk. Door doesn't budge,
Ouch.
and you don't hurt yourself. it just doesn't. It's a solid single door.
I look at Ali.
Ali.
I'm shaking my head. Walk up to the lock and proceed to pick it.
As you inspect the door and the lock, you notice the reason that it probably wouldn't have opened is that the door opens inwards, not outwards. So that's probably why it didn't budge when Nemaris threw herself at it. But you roll your D20 plus Dex plus proficiency for lockpicking. It cracks me up. I was hoping you'd do that.
And this is why I don't like the DM anymore.
If you'd rolled any lower, you would have hurt yourself. The fact you rolled an 18 was the reason you didn't hurt yourself.
So what's lockpick come under?
You just a D20 plus your Dex modifier plus your proficiency.
So Dex and proficiency is 4, so,
So D20 plus 4. Yeah.
19.
19. Yeah, you sort of definitely you work with the lock, and within a few seconds, stick, and the lock gives up the ghost. It wasn't a hard lock at all, and you pull open the door, and it swings inwards towards the room. It makes a little squeak as it does it, but again, what you see now that you've gotten that far, I'll give you guys a visual reference here. So, what you see, can you guys see that? Yep. You see a long, narrow corridor, but about 10 feet down, you notice that there is, you can see that it sort of turns to the left as well, about 10 feet down. Again, it's lightly lit, and at the very end, it's three or four torches, so it's dimly lit, so you can see that there's a spiral staircase at the opposite end of this hallway as well.
And by looking at that, we can kind of make out a room to the left.
To the left, yeah. It's about 10 feet in, and then it's sort of, you can see something to the left there. Not quite sure what it is.
Hitch is
Alright.
still in the
We
main
should
room.
advance to
Yep.
that corner.
can I pick up a torch from the main room wall? Is it removable?
They're all fixed, unfortunately. They're all
They're all
fixed. All
fixed?
fixed sconces to the wall.
Fair enough.
You can
have a torch.
You can take a strength check if you wanted to try and pull it off, but it looks it definitely they've been there for a while. I mean, they're not new, so they're part
Someone
of.
has lit these today, though, haven't they?
They
Because
are
otherwise
being
they would be out.
they've always been kept lit. They're dim, but they look like they've been kept going for quite some time. So someone is servicing them.
Sorry, say, Namaris?
After you hit.
I was just looking for oil. They must have some oil around here to refuel these. Is there anything in the room oil-wise?
Make an investigation check for me. Which room are you searching?
The main room.
The main
The first
chamber.
room we came into.
Okay, roll investigation.
God damn it. It was a 20 and just rolled over to a 2.
A 2. Yeah, you have a quick sort of look around, and you can't see anything that looks like it would contain oil. So yeah, you don't find any. You're not really 100% sure.
Excellent.
I then look at Hit and go, looks like he's having trouble, so I light a torch in him.
Oh, thank you, Namaris. I was just... Thank you.
All right. So who's proceeding down the hallway?
I will proceed.
How far down are you going to go?
Hit will proceed 20 feet behind
like
the leader.
9 foot down the corridor.
So just to the corner there?
Yeah.
So you'll get to that corner, and this will be what I can now make it bigger, so you can actually see what's going on. We'll move you forward to about there. So as you turn the corner, you see a large stone statue. It's a massive statue. Goes almost right to the ceiling, and it's covered in cobwebs. There's cobwebs all up the back of the wall. There's blood, dried old blood around on the floor, and that's pretty much all you see. And the cobwebs are moving in the wind. The castle's old and eerie. It's abandoned, and so everything's the torches are sort of flickering, giving the appearance that this thing is moving from time to time with the way the light hits it and changes, and the way that this cobwebs sort of shift and the breeze that's coming through.
What are the 8 little things?
You weren't supposed to see that, but there's nothing there. Okay.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
It's just a statue, guys.
Yeah.
We're good.
Alright.
I mean, you guys can see it, but there's nothing there. Okay.
I'm
Guess
gonna
I'll
walk.
just walk out into the room.
I'm just gonna walk past him and go to the other side, a bit further towards the stair.
So you're gonna go towards the stairs.
Mhm.
How far down?
About 5 feet from staircase.
Roll a dexterity saving throw for me. And I believe you have advantage on dex saving throws.
Thank God.
Is that only while you're raging, or is that racial? Just double check.
It's advantage on dex against a fixer you can say while not blinded, deafened, or incapacitated.
Yeah. So roll a dex saving throw with advantage.
It may or not be like an 11.
11. That's all you needed. It was a simple trap. As you sort of stepped towards the stairs, it was a simple pressure plate, and as you stepped into it, you hear a clicking sound, and as you hear it, you sort of jump back, and a metal spike comes shooting out from the left wall, ching, and just hits the other side wall with such force it cracks the stone on the other wall, and then retracts, and
Well,
that stone lifts back up again.
Guys, there's a trap here.
You were lucky. It was a DC 10. You could have failed that quite severely.
Yo, Ali.
Yeah, I'll get onto it.
Hit moves up to just where just through the doorway, that 10 foot where the room opens up, so he
Okay.
can just peek around and see the statue.
Roger that.
What does the statue actually look like?
Statue is it looks like a gargoyle, but it's like twice the size. It's massive.
It's not a deity of any kind that we would recognise.
Roll a history check for me.
Oh yeah, history. 10.
10. It could be. You're not 100% sure. You in your studies as a young dragonborn, you think you may have read something about a deity that looks kind of like this, but you're just not 100% sure.
I ask Head if he knows this guy.
It doesn't look familiar to me, but then again, who knows? There's a lot of creatures that don't look familiar to me.
So, Alessandrus, you were going to do what?
Disarm the trap.
Disarm the trap. So you're going to just move down the corridor and to the trap. What side of the corridor are you moving down?
Same side Namaris was.
Smart boy. So you move to basically retracing Namaris's footsteps, and yeah, you reach the trap. So roll D20 plus Dex plus proficiency for disarming the trap. Actually, no, roll sleight of hand for this one. So it's the same thing, D20 plus 4.
That's 18 plus 4.
Yeah, 22. Yeah, easily. You move your daggers around the pressure plate, around the stone, and you sort of feel around and you find that mechanism, and you just give it a quick flick, and the stone sort of just drops, and that you watch the head of the spear sort of come slowly out of the stone to your left, and then it just sort of stops and rests there.
And probably check for more traps.
Whereabouts would you like to check for more traps?
Immediate area.
Immediate area? Roll an investigation check for me.
As he is doing that, Hit inquisitively wants to check out the statue, and he will walk directly in a diagonal line to the front of the statue to look for anything on the front of the statue as an indication of what it might be,
Okay.
writing or glyph.
Match 18.
Roll an investigation as well. In your investigation check, in the immediate area around, which is pretty much where you are, around the stairs, the front of the stairs, yeah, there's no more traps. That looks like it was the only trap in that vicinity.
Good.
13 for Hit.
13 for hit. You look around the base of the base of the front of the statue there, and you can't. There's no writing anywhere. It's definitely old and it's crumbling in places. Part of the right wing has fallen away. So if there was any writing there, it's probably long since worn off with the wind and things that are sort of coming through here. You do notice, however, on the ground immediately to your right, next to your right foot, the stone looks different. It doesn't look right. It's got a slight discoloration to the rest of the stone around where the statue sits. So the stone, like the sort of 5 to 10 feet directly in front, pretty much where the spikes are on the map here.
Hit's about to take a step, and then he sees this and goes, "Whoa, Ellie, I think there's something here you might want to check." He will not move any further. Hit will stay right where he is.
Okay.
All right, I'll go check out that area that he
Okay.
pointed out.
So you have a look at it. You roll an investigation with advantage to discern what it may be.
Got a 13, rolled a 13, so...
The 13 plus your investigation is 3, so 16. Yep, it was 16. You have a bit of a feel around. You sort of give it a wipe over stone, and it's definitely... It feels different. You give it a tap with the handle of your knife, and one of the stones just breaks away and crumbles away almost instantly the moment you put any pressure on it, and it drops 10 feet into a pit of spikes. There's bones. It's been like, I don't think anything's landed in there recently, like in the last sort of 50 or so years, but it's definitely seen action in its lifetime. There's definitely bones in the bottom of it.
Well, with the hilt of my blade, go around and smash the other.
The rest
I'm
of
assuming
okay.
there's more.
Yeah, there was basically four tiles. So you easily break the 4 tiles, and it reveals the pitfall trap. I didn't even think of that back when I put the map up. That was for my reference. But well played.
Het walked at it as if he hadn't noticed anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much come straight in from the angle, which is fine. So, it worked out pretty good. That's
Then he
cool.
goes to go decide not.
And just before, Namara's taken extra bonus 50 XP for the shoulder charge on the door. And also Aslan, bonus 100 XP for the area knowledge as well. Just mark it down. We'll add it at the end of the night. Which will be pretty much now. We'll call it there, guys. It's 20 to 11. Pretty much from the start of the next show is when we're probably going to see some action. So you're pretty much right at the threshold now. So I don't want to get into anything, drag it out any further that it has to go. So we'll call it there. As far as your XP is concerned, pretty much you got your XP. I was hoping you'd get to the combat a bit sooner and possibly get to level 3 tonight. Not going to happen. You got your bonus XPs for roleplay, but I'm going to add another. Actually, how am I going to do this? Actually, no, bugger it. I'm going to give you guys a milestone for obviously bringing Gillian along when you didn't have to. We could have easily written him out and had him left back at Valond, which you guys chose not to do. The roleplay was awesome. I really loved it, and everything sort of worked out really well. So I'm going to allow everyone, including Gillian, level 3 when you guys come back next week, in 2 weeks' time.
Awesome.
So
Thanks, man. That's cool.
yeah, so advance your characters to level 3. If you need a hand with feats and things like that, if you're unsure, hit me up on Discord. I can run them through. I can run through it with you over the next 2 weeks. But yeah, so and those, if you're looking at multi-classing as well, definitely let me know. And if you need a hand with multi-classing, I can help you with that as well. So
Sweet.
awesome, guys! Thank you so much for hanging out again tonight. Another great game. Obviously, hoped to get to the combat. Didn't quite get there, but that didn't matter too much. Awesome roleplay from everyone again tonight. Was amazing. Good to have you back on board, Aslan. So much having the soldier in the group, stoic soldier. It's kind of cool.
Happy to help.
It's awesome, man. Good fun.
It's good playing, guys. I enjoyed it.
Definitely.
It's fun.
And like I said, I'll let everyone know pretty much 2 weeks from now anyway. So the next one will be, I believe, no, went wrong way. 9th of June will be our next game. But it'll go up in the Discord, and I'll give you a text to remind you, Baz, as well. So
Yep, sweet. Thank you.
no worries. So yeah, 9th of June, next game. Reruns over the next 2 weeks on the Twitch. It'll make it into the Discord as well. At the pretty much tomorrow, I'll post the link in the Discord, and over the course of this week, I will download the VOD and post it to the YouTube. So you can find, if you've missed it, if you missed half of it, didn't get to see all of it, whatever, you can find it pretty much everywhere. The VODs are there. Go subscribe to the YouTube. Go check it out. Have some fun. Have a laugh. We've enjoyed it. Hope you guys have as well. Until then, thank you very much, and we will see you tomorrow for gaming, guys. Tomorrow night, 7:30 PM New Zealand time, I'll be doing some Division 2. So we'll see you then.
See you, dudes.